people to make sure they don't abuse the
The
AI
robots are coming for us.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, sorry, y'all. We got sidetracked talking about AI behind the scenes.
AI is scary as fuck.
That's like, we gotta start.
Be very, very careful. I posted that shit on my Blue Sky, so if you're curious, just like go look. Hello, everybody. Welcome to let me open the damn game. This in Providence episode 6. Yeah, 5. Dude,
Yeah.
I almost said wow. I'm excited to get going. Dot, welcome back. We
Thanks,
were gone
friends.
for a week, but you've been gone for multiple weeks. So
I've
it's
had
good to
2
have you.
conventions in 2 weeks.
Oh man, I don't.
By
miss
the way, we
convention
missed
life.
you, and our mom role had to be taken by Elspeth, which was hilarious to watch.
Yeah, that went really well.
So I did a little bit of like a live chat as I watched the first kind of half or like first 2/3 of the episode last week, because I was so excited. There was so much scary things said in the Discord that I was like, I think I have to watch this episode. And then when I asked,
You didn't even see the end part, which is the scariest
no, I
part.
didn't. And then when I went to go put it on YouTube, I had to ask y'all for a title because I'm not there. I don't know I didn't know. And then when y'all gave me the title, I was like, oh. No, I've got
I had
to
a
watch
lot of
this.
like shots, guns, bullets in there.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a bad thing I skipped a week, but you know what? Up to what I watched was just fine.
You guys enjoying the cat burlesque show? Right?
Yes.
He's very leggy today. Actually, because it's been a few weeks, Maggie, why don't you go ahead and give us a recap of what happened last night?
Oh my gosh.
No pressure,
usually,
of course.
It's usually a Tracy job, but Tracy isn't here,
that's
so
true.
Tracy,
you know,
come back.
I know you take notes as well. So
I do take notes. So we started at Janet's house with Elspeth and David kind of leaving, and they were chatting and having some very interesting conversations about the artwork in Janet's house. We took some fun with it. Hopefully Dad's okay with it, with
yeah.
the
Hopefully,
art.
I did an okay job describing what kind of art was.
You did just fine.
Obviously fix it if it's wrong.
And kind of, the interesting conversation was like, what does your family do? And she was like, well, we're known for working with the dead. And it kind of went down this very interesting
Yes, I called that
oblivion
the
conversation.
the death pontification conversation.
That's a good word. I like that.
David got like a flashback of like Casper the Friendly Ghost cartoon, which was really interesting. And one of the interesting questions that I found from what David said was like, does it hurt, in reference to the oblivion stuff, which I thought was a very interesting conversation that they had. But that's kind of what went there. And then they went off to get David some clothes, basically. We kind of switched over and
bless his heart.
we switched over to where Betty wakes up. She investigated the Nightshade in Bloom once again, which didn't really get new information from it necessarily. But it was interesting to see Kaya.
Betty is I'm telling you, Betty is gonna get got. All right. She's playing a wild game right now. And she's look, Annika, she strikes me as a gal that don't play no games. And you're just gonna walk up into her house and like mess with her ghouls? Girl, Betty's gonna get in trouble.
Betty also applied for a job too, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, and Betty applied for a job too. Yep. I'm really wanting to see what happens with that. So that's what happened. Betty applied for a job, which was intriguing. She tried to sneak in to the back room, not very well, but fun. And then she headed to the south side where she went to Marcus's, or as we know him, Magpie's place. The room was empty, but there was still something kind of there. And for a moment, it kind of appeared like someone was staring back at her, which is really creepy, but fun. And Betty felt no problems with this, which was even creepier.
How Betty's going to react to any given situation is something I'm going to have to learn to deal with, because I don't know how it's going to go with Betty. If I put something in front of her, she could be like, awesome. Or she could just be like, I'm going to stick around for 6 hours.
I'm going to burn it to the ground. Yeah.
Or they're going to burn it.
I like the response, right? Like,
how messed
you're
up
like,
she is.
There's someone watching you from beyond the veil. You can't see it, but there are devilish eyes, 6 in count, that are peering down at you. And most people are like, oh shit, I'm backing off. But Betty's like, what's up, kiddo?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Are we hanging out?
What a pet.
Do we have snacks?
But she deals with like her whole thing is she makes illusions like that and things like that. So for her, it's like, is it real, right? Or someone just messing with me type of thing. And if they can mess with her better than she can mess with them, then she wants to know how to do it, right? It's an intrigue thing. She got a message on a mailbox. She kind of has her own thieves' cant style thing with magical graffiti. It's kind of a whole thing with her underworld type of
I am
stuff.
gonna release it. Maggie put it together. I'm gonna release it to Patreon. The like symbols and stuff. I had to get back from convention, y'all.
Yeah, so I sent Mathis a whole bunch of symbols. So if you want to follow along, and maybe someday in the future when he like describes a symbol, you guys can look at your notes and be like, "Oh, I know what that means. No one else does." So you can have fun with it. But I sent him like a whole bunch of different ones that mean different things. And so there was a message on the mailbox, basically kind of letting Betty know that, hey, there's someone who has a message for me. There's an anxious lady that Mutt paid off to basically deliver this message. Betty totally messed with her even more by like sneaking up on her and like scaring the heebie-jeebies out of her. But basically the message was like, they got it, the Capital Kings. I'm basically telling her to like, hey, come stop by. I've got information for you or whatever. I need help. So Betty was on her way very slowly to get there. And Elsbeth and David were at the thrift store where Elsbeth was coming out and noticed Betty. And they kind of had a quick chat. Elsbeth was losing it, trying to have a conversation with Betty. David got out of the vehicle, went behind the dumpster. I'm not really sure what he was trying to accomplish with the dumpster.
To hide there, if I remember correctly. And
David doesn't like being enclosed. He doesn't like the things that are like kind of locking him in. He was locked in a box, and everywhere he's been is like, even when he was with Elspeth in that room, he was like, I can't get out of the door. There's no windows. And Elspeth's like, it's fine. This is normal. It's for our protection. It's like, oh God, okay.
But basically, they were able to give David some clothes, specifically Elsbeth was. And then Betty found a mason jar, like jumped into the trash can and came out with a mason jar full of coins, which comes in handy later.
I kind of treat like your basket like a really garbage bag, like a deck of many things.
Yeah, exactly. Really, it's like a deck of many things. I love the idea of just like roll. I'm like, you tell me what I grab out of there.
A barrel of much trash.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly.
And then they headed off to Mutt's, where they met this guy who basically told us that he got jumped by this group of hooligans called the Capital Kings. We decided to go meet up with them at this basketball court, and shit got a little crazy. Someone might have gotten shot. David, sorry. But it's okay. Betty played a little roulette game on him, and
Betty went looking banana crazy like on him, and like
I'm gonna set the scene for you for a second, Doc. I want you to picture, if you will, it's Salem Street. We're heading to a basketball court, and you're peering. Salem, and you're peering from the basketball court, and you see a homeless lady. Someone who's watched The Craft way too many times, probably in her early 20s, and then a 7-foot-tall Smash Mouth concert attendee.
Yeah, sure, a 90s horror movie.
Yeah, show up at the basketball court together and demand their stuff back from a group of hoodlums.
A group of 5 young guys and girls who literally came together like maybe 48 hours ago and called themselves the Capital Kings, and are just like, they just mugged a ghoul out of opportunity, and now somebody with a that circus freak of a tax show up.
And David got shot.
David got shot.
Because you were trying to intimidate the leader, and the leader had to roll to see if he would like have the willpower to like pull the trigger, and he did. But David decided to jump in front of Betty, take the bullet. I would have got shot. Like Betty would have got shot for sure. Well, maybe not. Betty's pretty like good at dodging, actually. I'm curious to see what that would be like. But basically, David stood in, took it, and then Betty was able to like kind of calm down the situation, and
we played a little game instead, and obviously she rigged it with some, vampire magics, and he lost, and it kind of humiliated him in front of his homies. And
I would have bounced.
We got our stuff back.
Dude, the moment that I shot a guy in the chest point blank, and he's just like, don't do
And all
that
his friends
again.
left too.
I would
Yeah, I
have
was gonna say,
bounced so fast.
Almost all of his friends, almost all of his quote unquote friends, did leave. They had like three of them or so. Like we're like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing this, and like left. They immediately broke up. The gang immediately basically broke up.
Yeah. And so we got the USB thing. We went back, and with our powers combined, mostly David and Elspeth, oddly, we figured out that the password was purple. Based on like a Caesar cipher that was in the whole thing. And we got some information about Alicia Fellwether, who's a ghoul. And I guess we'll talk more about that as we meet with Dot's character. But we did get a low-res image of her and some information on her.
And she was
that's kind of where we left off.
Her information was on another ghoul's phone?
She's prolific because she is the ghoul of a notable or known Ventru in the city.
Oh God. Okay.
And
but not a council member or board person. It's just
What
notable.
they were trying to figure out was where was the other package going?
Yes.
Who got the other package?
So
they're learning that whatever was in there was picked up by a ghoul of a notable Ventru.
Okay,
and
so it was
a Ventru who has more influence than you, even Janet.
Oh yeah, I imagine so. That's
Janet has
some on her
blog. From our perspective, Janet has a lot of connections. Okay,
so
she wants you to
walking in with a new game as a young kindred, having your own place with security is nice. Like, how long did it have before you were not in the train yard? You know, like you don't have to start in the train yard.
Granted, she will pay for it. I have zero doubts. But okay,
well,
all right.
Of course, it's vampire.
Okay, so
we're in the early season.
And I don't know if I missed anything else. If anyone feels like, but I think that's
to overcome here.
Yeah, he didn't bleed or anything because he didn't take that much damage.
Okay.
He didn't. Not only did the guy not roll well.
Stopped it.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. It definitely caught him off guard that he didn't even flinch or whatever. But did you guys wipe his memory?
No.
Oh fuck.
Right.
None of us have the ability to do that.
On top of that, he called us cosplayers, right? Like he was so focused on the fact that he lost the face of his crew in front of in front of a grandma,
roles,
right?
Like social roles.
And we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything like Kindred-esque other than David tanking a bullet.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Just so you know, Dot. Like we didn't do anything that was like.
No, it didn't. There was not a masquerade breach in any obvious way.
As Elspeth would say, nobody's walking out into the sun tonight.
There was one. There was one. I was spotted in front of the dumpster, and they were just
that
like,
was different.
I remember.
That was
they were like,
that was a different spot. Yeah.
Cosplayers, sweet.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a.
Thank you for refreshing my memory as well.
This will be fun.
Of the details.
It's gonna be fun.
Exactly. So then, without further ado, before we jump in, thank you guys for showing up, supporting us. If you want to support us, sharing the show, watching the show, subscribing to the Twitch channel, or heading over to our Patreon, which is all linked there. Please, it's a great way to support us and going above and beyond. It goes directly to paying cast, paying for the art, paying for the music that we had done that the show opens to now. All that good stuff.
Yeah, y'all, Matt has had the music written for our trailer. Isn't that dope?
He is. I loved it. I think he did a great job.
It's great. It's fabulous.
It's so good.
Yeah. And then, shit, there was something else I was going to say, and now it's gone. Oh, head over to our YouTube, youtube.com/podbynight is a good way to support us as well. Oh, and join our Discord. That's what I wanted to say. Our Discord, I've been forgetting to say it, but it's free. If you're a patron or whatever, there's some special, secret private rooms that are just for you. But the Discord itself is totally free. It's like 1,000 fucking people that are in the Discord.
And the cast
itself.
hangs out in there. Like I post all the time, and I'll do like I said, I did a live post the other day when I was rewatching. So I
do I once a week I lurk. I go in.
Yeah, Mathis is
a
once a weeker.
I'll sometimes reply. I'll reply, but I'm always reading and I'm always watching.
Same.
So let's without further ado, then let's set the scene, rein things in, and see what again our not yet coterie has been up to. And before we do, everybody, rouse check, please. Make sure for those of us who are playing last week.
So technically, do I have to rouse twice because they They went to sleep, but Janet, because I could really use to eat before then since we went home.
I don't think you need to rouse twice.
Because they roused last game to raise for that night.
Yeah.
That's what I need you to do.
How about
so you will rouse again later?
Yeah, you two don't have to rouse right now. You can rouse.
Oh, praise be.
After.
Okay.
But your willpower is refreshed per
we should have did our session start stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about healing? I have superficial damage, so should I be rolling?
If you do
for
your start of healing, it should
roll all that for you.
Should already do it for you.
Yeah. So there's two ways you heal, like overnight if you want to let it go, or you can actively rouse to heal, and then you can heal whatever your base healing level is at your blood potency, which is probably like 1 or 2.
Remind me, where is the start of healing? This start of session that you keep talking about?
Yeah. So right next to the right of your willpower, there's a little cog. Click that. And then just hit that start of session. Yeah, there you go. And it auto does it. It's pretty cool.
That's so useful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's
massive.
super useful.
I found it the last episode.
We've only been playing in Roll20 for like almost 3 years now to figure that out.
Been there the whole time?
Whole time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I found it. Remember, I found it because it took damage, and I was like, "Oh man, wonder what this is." And I was like,
"Been using Roll20 for 2 years. It's been like 5 or 6.
It's been 6.
Yeah, it's like we've been doing this for.
I never took damage before, so I never looked in there to check it until then.
Yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 years. That was like immediately. I was like, "That's not right." It's been so much longer.
Yeah.
And then Mathis and I have even been longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Emmy's from like a previous Requiem campaign.
Oh man, Requiem! What a game! I missed the maquette. Okay, anyway,
we gotta start.
As we pick back up, instead of picking up where we left off with our that recap, we rewind time to the very beginning of that evening, where we find ourselves once again within Janet's rather tastefully decorated home. And instead of being where David and Elspeth are, hearing the music kick up and Janet's day gets to begin going through a muted level, instead we're right in the room as it begins. Our camera is a side profile shot of the record player as we see the needle drop on, as we typically do. The song, after about 2 or 3 seconds, as it always does, kicks back up. And in my mind, Janet is a woman of habit. And she has her routine. So it is the same record every morning. Yep. Dolly Parton 9 to 5 begins to play. And a routine we've seen play out once, we see a much quicker version of. The camera kind of fades as it spins, and as it comes back into view, finishing its rotation, Janet is in her outfit, prepared for the day as she's walking toward the door. Because tonight, this is the night where the meeting, or rather the dinner that she is called for. Those who are willing or able to attend should be attending. Now, do you have your boys cooking in preparation, or
I would have had them they would have set the table, get the house ready, but she does the cooking, right?
Okay, cool. Yep.
But most of this is pretty easy for her. It would only take her, maybe some pre-prep the night before or whatever, but
yeah,
her goal is to get rid of yesterday's body.
Absolutely. And that's being kept in the locked room down in the
basement,
until she
grinds it down to, hamburger meat, and it goes in a lasagna or a meat pie or
What's
a
your
gelatin
hunger at right
bowl.
now, out of curiosity?
3. She's very hungry.
Okay.
She's ready for this meal.
So as we see, as our camera kind of follows you down the stairs, while we see at the bottom of the stairs, both of your boys dressed in their tailored suits, already perfectly well prepped as you have trained them to be. We see one of them walking by with dishes as you turn left and he goes to your right. You can hear the dishes being placed on a dining room table, and you are walking away. And as you do so, you walk by your other boy who is walking with an unopened bottle of wine, heading into that very same room. No eye contact is made. They know better. And unless you address them, they do not address you. You would hear maybe the door at some point to where David and Elspeth open, the footsteps that belong to others that are not your boys, eventually making their way out. But you're not worried about them. If they have anything, you didn't send them a message, right, David, with Elspeth? You didn't send hey, Janet, we're leaving, or any of that stuff, if I remember correctly. I just want to make sure. Yeah, and Janet wouldn't bother. They're adults. They can take care of themselves. You make your way into the kitchen, and Janet begins to do her cooking. Big Italian dinner tonight, or however much the size. What do you? No, you're heading into where the body is. Rather, I apologize.
Yeah, I would have to go downstairs to get the body. And I will start dropping the maps. To make it like clearer. So the bottom floor we know is the store, but it actually has like the basement where Elspeth has stayed in the past is actually on the ground level and is like isolated. And so you have to access it from her apartment, not the storage or not the store itself. Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense.
That way nobody could accidentally walk in on like, scary basement.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you make your way down there to where the body is, and what are you going to go about doing? How do you
we probably see a montage of cleavers to, wood chop blocks of the process of content warning, dissembling a body into edible means, right? To look like meat.
You're butchering it like a pig.
Like a pig. And so it'll go through a meat grinder here. We see, stuff over there. And because it's Janet and she's starving, probably along the way, she's like, ooh, a liver, a gallbladder. And she'll kind of munch directly on the body as she prepares the rest of the meat to go upstairs for lasagnas and spaghettis and meatballs and those kinds of things.
So in my mind, as the scene plays out, when you're walking toward where you keep the bodies, your hunger is so dominant. At Hunger 3, the way it's described and the way it is for Kindred is you still have obviously command of your own thoughts, but it is a struggle. It's like being just like starving as a kid, not like fully actually starving, but like at the end of a day, you haven't eaten all day and a kid is just ravenously hungry and all they can think about is that's how it feels. And so the 9 to 5 music is playing, but it's muted, underwater, kind of just left behind as we follow Janet at a close profile shot as she walks away from where her sons are setting up and the music is playing. And as you walk into that room and the door shuts behind you, just for those last few beats, the song kind of comes in fully just as it finishes. And as it does, we would cut to black and we'd have like a flash of a cut with the sound of the cleaver hitting the wooden cutting board as our camera is right up on it. We see an arm come severed. And then it cuts to black as we watch that same arm get put into a grinder as a new song begins to play. We hard cut to black as the meat gets churned out the bottom. Cut to black to Janet
rolling meatballs, right?
Rolling meatballs and setting everything up and making her food. And like you said, as you described it, it's like a cut to black, quick snippet until you feed. And when you do so, you feed yourself, I'm assuming 2 hunger points.
Probably, yeah, that's all I need, yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Because I'm not going to feed them like the liver and stuff, right? Like I need meaty parts for them, but she'll be able to eat the organs in essence.
And I'd have to check, but I imagine you cannot go down to Hunger 0 with an organivore unless you feed off something alive. Because the whole point of Hunger 0 is soul.
True. Yeah.
Is like eating the soul. But I'll double check that at some point. So yeah, you're Hunger 1. But again, as you hit that Hunger 1, our camera then cuts to a more normal shot of you.
Yep.
We let it linger for a moment. There's a calm. We don't hear music. We're not hard cutting and seeing rapid dismembering and eating of food. Everything is just a 1 or 2 beat of silence as we are able to realize the peace that Janet now finds herself in. Just a mimicking of just what your mind calming down. And when it's done, if you would take a deep breath and just like a satisfying deep breath and walk, because
she probably
alive, you would, but like,
she kind of lets out a sigh, unnecessary sigh, and you probably see her take the dirty apron that's now covered in blood and the red gloves, like often leave them downstairs, and she trods back upstairs to the kitchen and puts on a clean apron, so it looks like she cooked, but she's not dirty.
Yeah,
at all, right? It's that like 60s housewife perfection, like they never. And the last thing she does is go to the fridge and get the perfect Jello mold made from the bones of the man downstairs, and she flips it up right on a plate as it splats this like green Jello mold, probably with fruit or something disgusting in it. And she sets it on the table, and you can see now the table has all of the buffet of food, just what you'd imagine like Italian mafioso dudes are gonna dive into.
Yeah, and I maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but it's maybe a little bit more nuanced to the scene. When you put your apron on in the kitchen, in that I'm assuming a very particular way you do it, is the apron in the basement a plastic apron?
Like, it is the absolutely
we just
the
see
opposite.
The same scene of you putting it on in the same way, in the exact same way, but just the plastic versus the kitchen apron.
And this one's like lacy and probably like cute around the edges or something. It might even, oh God, she'd have her initials embroidered in it. Like, without a doubt,
absolutely.
like something like that. That's just like really tacky Susie Homemaker. But it's clean as it can be, not a stain on it.
If we did like a center cam shot of you up the front and did a hard cut between both, Janet herself, her facial expression, the way she dons it probably is exactly the same. It is simply the means or the atmosphere in which you're wearing it. I love it.
And
Perfect.
there's probably a very satisfied look as she looks at like the spread. She actually enjoys cooking, especially when it means getting the things that she wants versus helping somebody else get what they want. And so she looks at the spread as, home living perfection, and is pleased enough with what she's got to offer tonight that maybe she can make the ask that she needs.
Yeah, and give me a description of obviously the Jello mold and stuff. But what do you got for an Italian?
We're talking
for
like
somebody who's not Italian and has never had an Italian dinner before.
I was about to say I too am not Italian. I have dated an Italian and had the great privilege of attending like a legitimate Italian dinner. But there's more food than any human should ever consume in a single
three
sitting.
meals before dinner happens.
Right, and they're gonna and most Italian dinners are plate served at the table, right? So they just pass the dish and you just pile it on. So it's gonna be things like that. So you're looking at like hot plates of meatballs and spaghettis, but also like slabs of meat, fresh salads, fresh Italian salads with like an Italian dressing. Like it's this is definitely an olive branch. You can tell there's a lot of effort, and she probably goes around and grades the fresh Parmesan at like the last second so it's not too melted, and then like garnishes a thing here or there. But it is a smorgasbord of meat dishes of the Italian style. I don't know about
not
pizza.
Have my character Bible open. I'm not even no idea. I've made characters for it. I'd be like, who's here?
But yeah, I don't know about pizza, but there would probably be some kind of like hot flatbread. I can assume there's plenty of bread on the table. Probably fresh made too.
How big is the table? How many plates have you set up?
Yeah, so I did drop in Discord for anybody that wants to see it. I did drop the top-down map of like what this floor with the dining table to kitchen looks like. So the table sits 8. The table sits 8.
Gotcha.
Yep, the table. It's a nice big dining
set up
table.
for 8 and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to get the.
She doesn't know how many will come, so we always set up for everyone, right?
Sure.
Which maybe says that like there are 8 seats because there would be 8 families or however you wanted to do that. But like she has 8 seats available at the table, and her sons would not eat. They get to eat at the kids' table.
Here's a curious question: Has Janet called for dinners before? Is this her first time she's ever reached out to try and call for a dinner?
Well, the first time
obviously you've probably called on behalf of your husband before,
the night he died, to tell them, right?
Yeah,
and then to offer
beyond
that. Maybe, I mean, you have to think she's done this 10 years now, but most of that has been under the control of her sire.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe once or twice, if that. And I imagine she always offers like, should I do the Italian Christmas family? Should I host? And if they ask her to host, she does. Because again, these are dudes. They're going to be like, oh, she's a woman. She can host our family gathering at the holidays or our, once a year household family meeting. But like, she only does it if they ask her. And other than that, maybe once or twice, Mathis, but that's about it.
Okay.
So this isn't so if she's called a dinner, one, they know they're going to get good food, and 2, it is potentially serious, or they know Janet's going to ask for something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to gauge whether Janet would have any idea of how many people would show up, and if she's not done it enough, and depending on the reason she even did in the first place, she might not really know what to expect. People, for when you've hosted dinners around holidays, people show up.
Right.
Definitely. But if it's not, I'm curious if the respect is there.
Right. And that Janet too, she's like, I have to prep as if they're going to show up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for sure, I'd say during any of your holiday get-togethers, absolutely. That's probably even a tradition carried over from when your husband was the one who was
and
made
she's
man
tried
and
to
you were
work up
the
some goodwill
spouse.
over the 10 years, enough to be able to hopefully pull these strings. This is why she didn't want anybody around and sent everybody away tonight, because if nobody shows, she doesn't need them to know that she's not as powerful as she thinks she is.
Exactly. Okay. So you spend maybe an hour, 2 hours prepping?
Probably
making pasta,
easy
garlic
too.
bread, Jello, all that other good stuff. Eventually, where would you have your boys go?
They'd wait at the door. One would answer the door probably, and then one would take coats.
Okay, cool. So they're there waiting, probably a good 30 minutes or so prior to anyone arriving. They've already set the table while you're cooking. They don't really get in your way. They don't want, you don't ask for their help. So while they're waiting, about another hour, or like 30 minutes or so pass before there is finally a ring at the doorbell.
She's probably been
Where
like
is-
fingernails, like, come on, somebody ring, yeah.
Where is Janet wait? Does she wait in the dining room?
She will wait just as they like, because they're gonna enter and then walk basically up a flight of stairs. So as they come in, she'll be waiting on them with like a smile, knowing their coat's gone. We'll take them to their seat. Like again, very hospitable.
Absolutely. So the door is opened by your boy immediately. Before they even can register who's at the door, the other son steps forward to offer coat, taking their coat and whatnot. And who you see walk in is a man by the name of Lorenzo Vitali, also known as nickname the Scholar.
Okay.
His rank and role is consigliere, I think is how you say that specifically, which is a relatively high rank, not a made man, so to speak, but a higher rank within the family. The guy walking in is kind of an older gentleman. He's in his mid to late 60s or so, and he's dressed impeccably well. Tailored dark suit that just fits him.
Is it my suit? Did he buy it at my store?
Good question.
This is one of those flexes for Janet.
Yeah, I would say because you've been providing suits for them for decades beyond
to clean their money. That's the.
I would say yes. I would say this is a suit you made for him.
All right. She won't say nothing about it yet.
A suit you made for him years ago, but he clearly took extremely good care of it. It still fits him perfectly. He also wears like thin gold rimmed glasses that just match his cliche kind of receding hairline that goes along him. What's left of his hairline is pure like white silver hair. And this guy's he's not physically imposing in any way. He's maybe a 5'5", 5'6", but doesn't mean that he's not amazing. He may not be physically imposing, but he's a sharp man. He got to where he is in the family for a good reason. And when he walks, he just walks with a quiet confidence. A knowing of he doesn't need to say anything because people know who he is. And as he walks in and the coat is taken and he does remove his glasses and he just folds it and slips it into the front pocket of his jacket, he looks to you and very quietly and gently just has a pleasant smile and brings up both his hands
yeah, they would do a family kiss, right? Yeah. What is his last name one more time? I got Lorenzo.
Vitali, Vitali.
Vitali. Okay.
Yeah, let me put it in the Discord so you guys
you can
have
drop
it.
that too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was trying to.
Yeah.
And what they call his nickname?
The Scholar.
The Scholar. Right?
Yeah, I did get that part. And immediately, family kiss, both cheeks, kind of a thing. And she simply says, Lorenzo, you sure don't know how to make last season's suit look like this season's fashion.
He gives a very quiet but single breath laugh and he just kind of quietly nods to and smiles, but he doesn't respond vocally at all. You know him to be a very quiet man in general, and he's been here before. So do you guide him to the dining room?
I'll walk with him, right, to make sure he gets to his seat and just kind of chat him up along the way, ask if he wants to drink, those kinds of things, or tell him about the wine I have for this evening bottled open. And then when we enter and there's nobody there, she will say, I'm embarrassed to say you're the first one here, but you're always the one on time.
Yeah, and he smiles again. What you know about this guy, by the way, so because you would know about this. Betty's not here anyway, so I'm not gonna have her roll. But this guy is, like I said, he doesn't really speak much. He's very quiet. But when he does, anytime he's ever been in a meeting or a family dinner, whenever his opinion is asked of or he vocalizes his opinion, people go quiet. They listen.
It's respected.
The fact that he is here shows there is at least a level of respect amongst this family that look to you as you are. A powerful individual. They send somebody with, again, a reputation of respect. He's also one of the most highly educated within his own family as well, which is where he gets his nickname,
the Scholar.
He actually graduated from college at the age of 17. He actually skipped 2 years of high school. Goes the story is what he says.
Hey, you know what? And Janet respects that because she didn't get to finish high school, but she's kind of an unknown math genius, right? Like that's her thing. She knows how to crunch and move up numbers, right? Yeah.
Yeah. He is the one the family sends in for political negotiations, for just diplomatic meetings and whatnot. If there's a feud between families, they're the ones he'll send in for negotiations or strategic negotiations. He almost always prefers diplomacy over violence. But if someone has to die, someone has to die.
Yeah, I mean that's the mafia way, right?
At your door. Yeah, you prefer to see him at your door, but you also know if you see him at your door, you only get one chance at seeing him.
Right, at the door. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and so I'll go ahead and sit him down and pour him a glass of wine. Obviously, we don't serve food until Janet feels like enough people or the majority have actually arrived. And
none of these guys, he's not a kindred. He's not aware of kindred life. These are just the family.
This is just the family.
I also want to have you roll something, Betty. Not Betty. I keep saying Betty. Janet.
I think it's because our names are both old school.
5 letters.
Yeah.
And it's the 2-syllable thing. Give me I want social roll here. A intelligence composure roll.
Okay.
Weird one. I know, but maybe
you know what?
It'll make sense when I.
Okay, yeah. I'm saving my hunger, so I won't rouse for this, but that's okay. It's a standard. I mean, I will willpower though. That I would be happy to do.
Sure.
I got willpower to burn as Janet. Let's go. I got one more, so 3.
3 successes. I mean, that's plenty enough. When dealing with, again, particularly with mortals. When he does speak, on the walk into the dining room, to anyone else, it just sounds like casual conversation, questions about how you're doing and whatnot. But Janet, you realize very, very quickly, while his questions seem innocuous, he seems to be asking you little bits of questions to kind of see if your loyalty's still there. He's asking you questions framed in ways that, if you weren't paying attention, you might slip up and show that you prefer your loyalty actually sits maybe a little bit more elsewhere than with the family. But you are well aware of how this works. You've dealt with him before. You've seen him deal with people even longer before than you were the one he was dealing with. And you realize it very quickly, and you, I imagine, answer appropriately.
Yeah. I imagine she might even ask him, like, I hope you're not questioning my loyalty to the family.
He would smile and take your hand as you're walking. And just kind of bring it up and kind of clap it with his other ones. And he just would shake his head and he would say, "I would never." And he, it sounds as believable as anything.
It's enough for her to, she's not going to get off tonight and dumped in the river.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And from that point on, actually, the questions do become truly innocuous after that.
Yeah.
You sit him down. You kind of get him all set up and make sure he's good. And maybe within 5 minutes, no shorter, no longer, the doorbell rings a second time.
Yes.
You excuse yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, the internal, like, okay, it's not
at
just
least
one.
two
At least
people are
two.
here. Okay, we're gonna keep going. Yeah.
yeah. And as you go walk over, you see your boys doing the exact same thing. And this time you see a man by the name of Rocco Mancuso.
Not Rocco.
Rocco, let me give you I'll copy paste his name into Discord. He also has a nickname, the Bull.
Oh, God.
Listen, as I'm doing fucking Iceman on Illuminati, there's a guy in the mob's name was Meatball because his head looked like a meatball. The end. That's all. That's all.
What was his nickname again?
The Bull.
This guy, Rocco, rather, the Bull.
Bull. Okay, Bull. Not Ball. Yeah. The Bull. Okay.
Now, while he's not a made man, nor is he kind of a different, like a conciliere, like Lorenzo is. He's a capo regime. He is a captain. He commands a crew of about 6 or 7 underlings of varying ranks within the family. I would put him, if you were to like hierarchy, they're with the 3rd or 4th most powerful within a hierarchy of a mafia.
They're like a general, right? Like they kind of like runs, the muscle. Yeah. Okay.
He's in his mid to late 40s. He's built. You see why he's called the Bull when he walks in, because of the way this man is built. He's got that thick neck that almost isn't a neck anymore by the time it meets his own head, with broad ass shoulders that like. Just look, this man is, if he's not doing criminal things, he's probably in the gym shooting up steroids, like that
and eating push-ups for breakfast. Yeah.
And his suit is also done by you, and ostentatious by design. It was his request. You're talking like how I would say. I think he's got like a pinstripe kind of like suit
pinstripe
on.
or something that's like silk patterned, like it's got a striping or like a paisley on it. Something that's like that's a little
and
extra.
a tie that's like bold, but I don't know. Like I can't really imagine. In my camera shot in my mind, I don't see what kind of tie goes with this.
Is he the kind of guy that would mismatch patterns? Like he'd wear a paisley with a plaid because he could get away with it with his personality.
I think so. He definitely has a bold tie on.
Yeah.
So
if you tie in the colors, it can still work.
You can still make it work. Janet makes it work for him, is what you're saying.
I was gonna say, because Janet did it, so it definitely works, and it's what he requested. And his knuckles for sure, like his hands, if you just look at them, they're all beat the fuck up, scarred from how many beatdowns over the course of his life in the family and whatnot. His face, if you didn't know he was in his mid to late 40s, most people would probably put him in his mid 50s or older. There's always just this look of like, and you don't know if it's carried out of habit, but he always looks pissed off and annoyed.
Right. He's
like,
that resting grump face.
Absolutely. One that almost invites dickheads to like say something.
To poke at him. Yeah.
And whether that's his natural expression or it's something he adopted over time because it's gotten him so many
It's like
fights
the Sylvester Stallone resting face.
Absolutely.
It just
exactly.
looks grumpy and it's begging you to start a fight with it. Yeah. Okay.
And as he walks into and he reaches out for a really just kind of annoying hug, you see he's got just like a giant gold watch. He's got a pinky ring on one of his fucking fingers.
Yep.
He's the presence that demands attention.
Did you watch the new Roadhouse movie? The new one?
No.
Okay.
No.
The guy that ends up being the major antagonist he has to take down in the end is this guy. He even wears the suit. I'm telling you, it's that guy.
I gotta look.
Yeah, you don't have to watch the movie. Not worth your whole time. Just the that character. It's exactly who you're talking. Just obnoxious and big, huge.
Hair is completely short and like still gels it, completely slicked back. As he walks in and he's like, if it ain't my favorite girl, and he says, bring it in. And he comes in to give you a huge hug.
Yeah, and she probably lets him like pick her up a little bit because it makes him feel like it makes him happy,
Absolutely.
right? Like the thing,
There's that tinge of misogyny under everything he says.
Yep.
Everything. Just the tone. Even if he may not mean it, it's there. It's it's part of him.
It's just it's built into his genes at this point. And she goes,
doesn't excuse it at all.
She goes, my big strong Rocco, and she kind of lets him do the thing, that makes him feel good.
Absolutely plays into it. I don't need you to make any social role. He doesn't test you.
Yeah,
no
and she goes,
nonsense.
You're gonna be so excited. I made your favorite.
And his eyes get wide, and he goes, you didn't.
And she goes, of course I did. You came all the way out here. What else was I supposed to do? You think I disrespect you like that?
And he just gives you a big grin. You see he's got like a couple of his teeth are gold plated up front. And he says, there ain't any better lasagna than Janet's lasagna.
She goes, it's because I got that special sauce.
He gives you a nod that is unnecessarily like insinuating.
And she goes
like,
and while he's in her personal space and she's got him right here, she whispers, Vitelli seems in a mood tonight. Maybe, just tone it back.
He gives you a nod and just changes his expression to more serious.
He knows. She goes, but there's plenty of wine. We'll get through it.
And for you, Janet, as you say that, and you kind of like walking him to the dining room, what you know about this guy is kind of different. You know about him, but the way he treats you is different because of that built-in misogyny. The man is definitely a blunt individual. He is kind of like he's like a loyal feral pit bull in a lot of ways. He'll go off the leash often, but only because of perceived insults to the family. Which has prevented him from becoming a made man, from being more than a capo regime. And he's both bitter about it, but also understands that if he ever became a made man, he gets to get dirty in the streets, use his own hands less. And, there's a sweet golden handcuffs about that he's both struggled with and not. He's not subtle, very direct, but also he's not stupid. A lot of people underestimate him and think he is dumb because he's a brute. And while he's definitely not the scholar in any way, He's not a dumb man. He has good instincts. It's again another reason he's got as high as he was able to.
Yeah.
He's known for having a short fuse, kind of just like really angry. But with you, he's like a teddy bear in a lot of ways.
And that's how Janet likes it.
You play into every weakness that he perceives as strength, every misinterpret or just like assumption of women that he believes is true. You play into the facade, all in the name of just having him in the palm of your hand.
Right.
And it's worked well. You're not surprised to see him here in any way. As he walks in, there is a kind of quick, awkward, silent greeting as two opposite ends of the spectrum kind of sit in the room together, and you hope that another doorbell will ring.
Just one more. I just need a third. That would make Janet happy. One more.
Unfortunately, it never does because
of course not.
It's just the two. I don't think you would wait long before it would get awkward.
No, Janet would know when it's time to serve dinner, because once the food starts to get cold, it's not as good, right?
That.
Yeah. So yeah, she'll eventually come in and.
You know, as you look, you can even give me a wits insight if you'd like. It's up to you.
Okay. You know what? She
Just
does
to
want to
read them.
know if they thought more people were going to come.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I would. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, if they expected more, because that does mean something. I only got a 2. Yeah, we'll save it for now. That's 2's fine.
Again, 2's normal. Genuinely, again, they're good. They've been doing this for a long time, so they may just be professionals at like hiding it. But with 2, they genuinely don't seem like, well, we're the only 2, or any awkwardness about it, or any disappointment about it.
They're just excited to show up for food.
Rocco is just happy he's gonna have a fucking good dinner, and the less people show up, the more food for him. And the scholar Lorenzo, you know, it doesn't really bother him.
Yeah, he's a businessman.
He's a professional through and through. His family, the one he's representing, saw interest enough to speak with you. So it's all that he matters.
Right, that's
him.
enough for her.
Yep. So you dish out dinner. I imagine you sit down.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you want to rouse the blood and blush of life so you can eat with them.
Technically, I don't have to, because I can eat food.
Oh right, I forget you have.
Technically, what it is, I have the mythic food bane, eat food, which gives me 2 dots towards making that easier and holding it longer and looking more normal. But I will rouse, since I just for the sake of all of it. So
there is the question of the other thing is, you're hugging them and it's just so small, but they would feel how fucking cold and.
I was about to say she would have roused maybe then before they got there, but
yeah, because then you warm hands and all.
Yeah, she wouldn't give anything away.
No, absolutely. So, hunger 2 is not the big deal, and you have more food, I think, if you need it. So you sit down, eat, conversation begins as though, it's good to see you. How's everybody been? How's the family? How are the kids? How are the nieces and nephews? Oh, wow, we haven't seen you, in a good 30 minutes of just banter. Any good Italian family sits
just trying to lighten the air before she has to talk business, I
imagine maybe even the rule is you don't talk business until after dinner is finished. Real, true dinner. So you spend an hour eating, talking, pleasantries. Is there any questions or conversation that is lighthearted that you want to know as Janet that you may have talked about? If not,
do either of them have families? Wives,
absolutely.
Children?
Rocco does. Rocco has.
I was about to say, I would ask
kids.
about the wife and the kids. Like, how is the family? Mm-hmm. She would probably say something like, "I haven't seen you 2 come in for suits recently. How's money? Just like what you would talk about at a family dinner, right? Yeah. How's the job? How's the business? Without going too deep into actually the reason why she's got them here. It's all just surface level conversation.
Yeah. So just give you small details real quick then. Lorenzo is a grandfather at this point. He only had 1 kid, and he's still married to his wife. And like his 1 kid is now married and has a kid of their own. Rocco is married and has 2 kids of his own, twin girls. And they are like just entering like 13, 14 years old. They're getting ready for high school. So it's been chaos on his life and whatnot, which is, another reason you don't see him all that often. But there you go. Conversation continues until dinner is had. The freaking Rocco has like 5 helpings of lasagna until dinner does finish. And the conversation, the real reason they're here would begin, and it would probably begin with actually Lorenzo. As dinner finishes and he settles up.
Jello's served, and
yeah. And Lorenzo would just turn to you and just say, "So, Janet, how's business?" And that's kind of the
That's my
flag
cue.
to.
Yeah, when he says it's okay, he's the elder
Yeah,
at
when
the
he's
table.
basically how's business.
Oh, Lorenzo, it's good. I can tell everybody's struggling where they struggle, but I actually didn't call to talk about my business because suits are good, the cleaning's good. I was actually looking for some information.
Rocco, with a mouthful of Jello already, just gives a nod. He's like, would love to help as best we can. And Lorenzo would nod, but not say anything, just be listening.
Yeah, I was called in for a job down at the docks. Good news is it was our docks, so it's in the family. But I got down there and the package I was picking up was in a specific container. It had some weird stuff in it. I'm a little concerned knowing it's family territory and we're moving some odd things that may not be, how do you say safe? I have that container number, and not that I need to know all the business, because I get the pyramid a trust and all of that. But I was wondering if the two of you could tell me who actually ordered in the container, what the name is under.
Rocco now kind of swallowing another giant mouthful of Jello. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Fuck it, I can ask my boys to see what's going on out there. Just need the name and the number. No promises or nothing, but I'll see what I can do.
We all know there's no promises in this game, and honestly, I'm more interested than I am wanting to take action, if you know what I mean. I just
Is it a family member, a member of another family, moving things they ain't supposed to?
That's my concern.
All right.
I always worry when we punch up a little bit. Things have been good for us the last decade. The family has thrived, if you would, especially after taking out some of the Italian competition. We have something good going. And the last thing I want to see is something tainting our business down at the docks.
At this point, Lorenzo actually, I'd say very much listening very intently, leans in, elbows on the table, fingers crossed. Doesn't put his chin on his fucking hands or anything.
Right.
But as he leans in and he just has a very simple question. How'd you come across this information in the first place, if you don't mind my asking?
You've been transparent with me. I'll tell you. I guess you could say we all got friends in high places, yeah? And we all keep most of our contacts secret. But I got a call about a job and make some good money. Even I got to work on the side sometimes. It was a simple pickup delivery job. But when I got there, my instincts are pretty good. And me and the boys, we got the ickies. Something about that specific container was carrying a lot of stuff that I'm worried might get us into some deeper trouble, or somebody in the family into trouble, and thus staining our name. You know what I mean?
Lorenzo sits with that. There, maintains eye contact with you the entire time, and when you finish the sentence, the eye contact lingers for another couple beats. You can even see Rocco out of the corner of your eye, wanting to say something, but seeing Lorenzo kind of just hesitates. And then in a firm moment, Lorenzo then seems to just kind of accept what you say, with the understanding that you believe. Actually, give me a wits insight check.
Okay. I'll hold on that, but I can always do it this way. Well, we can use some willpower at the end. All right, yeah, why not? We'll do. I can do 2 of those at least. Oops.
You can reroll one of them.
Oh, you're right. I can reroll 1.
Yeah.
So ignore that. There you go. It's still an 8, so I guess it was good to have an 8.
3 successes is great. You realize he knows you probably know more than you're letting on. However, there is a level of deniability by not naming things specifically and not saying certain things out loud.
You think there's a way that Janet could hint to Lorenzo that one of the reasons she doesn't want to give too much away is because of Rocco? Like, she might tell him, but maybe not in front of the muscle.
Yeah, you would go ahead and give me a.
Is there something like maybe I could
a
gently...
manipulation persuasion as a way to like.
Yeah.
indicate.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's more of like maybe it's just a side glance.
That's what I'm saying. You make a side eye or something.
A side eye that's like I'll tell you more, but not in front of the muscle.
Lorenzo doesn't need to roll, but I'm gonna go ahead and have Rocco roll.
Damn it.
don't be damning. He's
I'm,
not
I'm,
got a big
I'm
pool.
hoping that he's just gonna keep slurping down the Jello.
Yeah, well, he's rolling not a big pool. But again, I rolled exceptionally well.
Yeah, he rolled 3.
I always give ties to the player though, and I did not crit, so he does not notice.
Good. Janet smiles at him when he cuts his eyes at her, like I didn't do anything.
When you kind of like you do that a couple times, and then maybe as you lean back and you look over at Rocco naturally see if there's anything, he's like taking another the last big bite of the Jello he has.
And I'll take a small bite off
this...
of a fork, of my Jello to go with him to show it I'm also eating
Lorenzo
it.
Understands and picks up on that without an issue. He then nods and leans back, and Lorenzo just simply says, "I can make you no promises, but I'll see what I can do." I know that's quiet. He said, "I'll make you no promises. I'll see what I can do."
I'd appreciate it. And I just kind of go over to a side table where maybe my purse is sitting, and I pull out that container number, right? Because we had that piece of paper with the container number and the information. And I was like, all I need's a name. And I give it over to him. And I said, but don't think you're getting off the hook either, Rocco. I was thinking maybe, you and your very strong muscle could just keep eyes on it. Anything weird happening at the docks, you let old Janet know.
He nods, and as he swallows, he brings his hands out and makes a motion for you to give him the number as well. Yeah, and I'll see what I can find out through my family.
And, as we kind of wrap, and she feels like she got the information she needed, which is she just had to put the word out. She had to get word out and try to figure this out. As she goes to maybe see Rocco out the door, she says, I got something for you. Well, really for your girls. And I imagine Janet buys into those stupid makeup boxes and those kinds of things. She's got a bunch of makeup samples and shit she'll never use. And she's kind of like, they'll thank me. You won't. And she kind of gives them some gifts to take to the girls, which is a good gesture of faith, right? Also to the wife. So, it's not like, why did you show up at this woman's house for dinner? And then,
then, it's the mafia world is a wild place.
It is a wild place, but respect is respect.
No, he would be you, even though you may think he may not, he'd be like, oh, I don't get it. No, he would be genuinely grateful for the gifts for his family. He would love, his girls are going to love it. He knows they will, and his wife will be super
And I'm
thankful,
sending leftovers. We're absolutely sending leftovers.
Which is kind of hit for him, because he's going to eat all that before they get a chance. But no, there's no oh God, makeup. He doesn't like makeup, but it's more, he's very grateful for the gift.
Yeah, you know what? I make up
shit.
Goodie bags for because she only likes to feed human meat to the mob. It's almost like a fuck you behind their backs. So she gives him goodie bags for his boys. It's like, make sure your boys
ever be a
eat.
mob member specifically that you respect enough not to feed human meat to.
I guess we'll find out.
Something to explore. But they, they're grateful. They thank you. Lorenzo actually didn't ate any of his dessert. He ate all of his dinner, but he maybe had a bite of the Jello.
Maybe he's not a Jello person. Yeah.
He had a bite of it for sure, but he didn't powerhouse it down like Rocco did. And so they say their goodbyes, their jackets are on, and after about probably 3 hours.
I try to make sure maybe Lorenzo is the last one out the door so that I could have that last moment with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just say, you and I both know that I can only tell you so much. But there's some weird stuff moving in the shadows. And I don't even know if it has anything to do with the mafia of the city.
He looks into your eyes and just genuinely, and I don't mean you don't need to make a roll for it, because he looks like he understands. He understands what you're saying. Not in the he knows about kindred way,
right.
but to him that could mean human trafficking, which is not allowed in the mafia.
Right,
it could mean drugs of especially
and that's okay.
Shit.
She's willing to leave it open enough, but she does look at him and she says, but more importantly, I don't need this putting a stain on my name. And I'm a little afraid that I might have done a dirty job.
He nods and gives kind of closes his eyes when he does, and brings up
so that he
hand
understands that she didn't want to out herself in front of Rocco of potentially having made a mistake.
He kind of gently taps your cheek with his right hand, and he says, "You've always done right by the family. I don't think this would be anything you would have done intentionally."
Oh, no, of course not. I appreciate you coming out tonight. I hope you enjoyed the dinner. And she will, because he is an elder. Do they wear rings in the Italian Mafia? They do, don't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she kisses the ring.
Yeah, he's what's known as the eminence grease of the family.
Yes, she would kiss. She would kiss the family ring on his way out the door.
And again, after you pat your cheek, that's what bring it down. Probably kiss the ring. And he goes, "Despite all business, it was good to see you, Janet."
You too, Lorenzo. Don't get into any trouble now.
he chuckles, a little late for that. And he slowly kind of like makes with a slight gimp to his
and she
walk
probably says,
down the
I'll see you at the
stairs.
Thanksgiving dinner.
He nods, but doesn't turn around. You just see the back of his hand as he waves. And as the door opens, there's just a tinted window, black BMW just waiting out there for him, or a Lincoln rather, probably. And he walks into the car as somebody's already holding the door. And as he drives away, I imagine there's like an echo of the human feeling of relief.
Yeah, she probably looks at the boys and she goes, do the dishes. And you probably actually see the smile that she's had to wear all night just like drop into that jaded, angry woman. That's like, I'm so tired of performing, right? She's done with the performance now. She can be Janet.
Dropping the mask.
And she probably, I bet she does something like scoops up a big thing of lasagna straight from the plate, like puts man meat directly into the mouth. You know, she's given up on the facade.
I love that because in my mind, then the camera angles, like as he's leaving, we're in front of him outside the door. But as he's leaving, the camera's slowly pushing forward past him. And as we go through the door, we hear the door shut. And as we do, we just see, we're close up with Janet and we just see that, immediately drop to like boom, and then you walk away and we follow you in this like cold still camera moment of just like we don't move but we see you take a bite of the food and whatnot. The boys are already moving around cleaning. It's like almost like the saturation of the house in our shot drops and everything gets like a little bit more blue tinted and cold. And as you kind of clean the house and do what you're doing, again, your dinner was probably 3 hours or so long.
Yeah, it's a big ordeal.
It's always long.
But I would have left the door, or at least in the way where if they needed to come back and stay.
Well, that's why they're coming back. Don't you worry.
Okay, good, great, wonderful.
Remind me, were you on your way back to Janet's place that night, or was it the next night? That night? Okay, cool. It would be, it'd be another 3 or so hours before they arrive, though, because Betty is on foot, walking, huffing her ass all the way from Salem to Boston. She gets there like middle of the night, so they probably wouldn't see you until 3 or 4 in the morning. Probably closer to the end of the night would be when they arrive.
Because remember,
you might even think they're not coming back.
I was about to say, the locks on the house click in at about 5 a.m. and not even Janet can open them then. So if they don't make the 5 a.m. call, that's on them.
Okay. Oh, they'll get there before 5 a.m. Absolutely, but they get there at like 3:34.
Yep.
And just maybe again, Janet, you probably already wrote them off. You're probably getting ready for your nightly goodnight rituals of just like
I'm in my like fluffy pink robe and my fluffy high heeled shoes, and I'm like totally last glass of wine.
Who walks in first? Is it Betty or is it David?
Oh God, here we go.
I'm trying to remember where we left off. Did Betty come with?
Where was the last scene we left off with the two of you?
It was all of us together on the computer getting the data.
Yeah, you were at
Yeah.
Where were you? Was it whose computer were you
You
using?
didn't say where we were. You didn't say where we were.
Public
You
library,
just said
maybe?
Yeah, you said we could get access to a computer, and
You
then
just needed a laptop of some kind.
Guess
it
what
was
Janet
like a garbage
has.
laptop. Oh yeah. Yeah. Did you actually open the laptop? Or you see the data stick? You
We
figured
got
out
the data.
password.
You got the data and the password, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're just going with her to the information. So whoever walks in first, that's who I want to know. I imagine you got the data, and then you both were like, we need to go see Janet and let her know, because she's the one that's like, again, it's her family that has the doc. This all has to do with her anyway.
I think David's pretty indifferent.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Maybe David just kind of
Betty would definitely come in first of the two, I would
shopping
assume.
Cart or no shopping cart? Sorry, I just have to ask.
That's a hard one.
I know.
I feel like she'd want to bring the shopping cart in, but she'll leave it out for Janet's sake.
I was about to say, she's going to make you leave it on the first floor, even if you do at the door. But
Yeah,
you can
so
bring
Okay,
it.
that's what I do. I leave it on the first floor.
You know that's the rule. If you bring it in the house, it's like a dog. It has to stay by the door.
Because at the end of the day, I don't think Betty, because Betty's not going to stay. So
No. As you're doing whatever you're doing at night, at this point in the night, Janet,
probably
getting
like
ready,
last dish. I'm finally sitting down, feet up, no more dishes, no more cleaning, and then the door opens.
Yes, and before you hear anything, you just hear the shaking of a cart immediately pushing its way in, probably within a second, followed by Betty's voice, I imagine.
Yeah, I come down to like meet them to see.
And you see, Betty walking in.
I think Betty's like pinching the cheek of your son who's opened the door for us and is like,
Oh, you're looking great
I
today.
can suffer through that. He can suffer.
Yeah. And as you
Um,
see her pushing, you see before you even see like him fully, you see the shape of a giant man behind Betty
right. I kind of
following.
ushered. Is
But
Elspeth
he's
with
got
them?
clothes on. He walks in with clothes on. What was the mismatching outfit that we?
It was
told you you were
horrible, if I
wearing?
remember correctly. Like,
It was.
I hurt on the inside listening to you tell me what he looked like.
It was like a 1994 high schooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the denim, he tore the chain off of it.
Off the
Yeah.
yeah.
And
then the collared
honestly,
shirt.
I think it's more shocking and worse for Janet to see you in that than it is to see you fully butt ass naked. I'm just gonna be real.
And when he comes inside, he starts taking the clothes off.
okay, she's
So
okay
the
with
fair's
that.
foot,
Like,
and he's just like disrobing himself.
she then
immediately.
takes the clothes and puts them outside on the doorstep. Like, those are not allowed in this building. And
you can actually, just because of your kindred senses, you can smell
Yeah,
the
no.
thrift shop on them.
absolutely not. Do I see
Does
a
David
bullet
just
wound?
say okay? It is like, does David just like does he just wordlessly get naked outside?
Thank you. I didn't like them either.
Yeah, I would assume that you could see the hole, right?
And then
Oh,
I
yeah.
see like the
Mike-
bullet wound.
It's
Yeah.
there's no hole. I didn't get any like lethal damage.
It's
it
like
was
a grazing.
superficial.
Oh.
It was all
Yeah,
superficial.
think.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, so then you wouldn't see anything. Yeah.
except for David. Welcome home. I didn't expect all of you tonight.
Well,
didn't
I
have
wasn't
anywhere else to
expecting,
go.
and I wasn't expecting to come here either, but I suppose we have some information for you.
Oh, finally, something interesting. I kind of close and lock the door, knowing that if Betty doesn't get out here soon, she may be stuck
Yep.
with us tonight if she likes it or not. And I'll kind of just gesture everyone into a sitting area, like the foyer sitting area, so we can have a moment to hear what they have to say.
Gathering, David sits down. Betty maybe sits down.
Betty does not sit down. Betty's going
No.
to go make herself a drink.
Yeah, there's like leftover wine on the table. It was the bottle Janet was gonna finish. Yeah, there's plenty for you.
Betty
to
just
drink.
grabs the bottle and just starts chugging.
Do you want
Do I need to rouse
so
for
you can
that?
do-
oh,
you
I'm
need to
also
do-
very hungry, so I will rouse to drink this.
A vintage bottle. You should. That is.
Oh, well, it tastes
Very
like all the other
expensive.
stuff that I've drank.
And she just goes for it.
Yeah, and you drink it, blush of life, so you can keep it down for 8 hours.
Janet,
and
I
you
met
taste it.
so many people tonight. I met the Capitol Kings, and they shot me. They
Oh,
tried to
yes,
shoot
that-
me.
That part is not as important as
That
the other
name-
information we have for you.
That name rings zero bells, Janet. That
You
name
you were
means
in a
nothing.
firefight.
No, there was
I
no
wouldn't
fire.
call it a firefight. I'd call it a one-sided shooting.
You let them shoot David.
I didn't let them.
Are
he
you okay, honey?
jumped in front and got shot.
They were
That's
going
very
to shoot
different.
Elle or Betty, and
No, I would have been fine, and
And I
she
didn't
would have
want
been
that.
fine.
Okay, well that was very brave of you, honey. But some self. Okay, well come have a seat. Let me put a towel down. And I put a towel on the
Does
sofa.
Janet even think of like masquerade breach problems? Because it's very little detail as to what
yeah,
happened
but
there.
Betty says that's not even the best part. So Janet's
Oh, fair.
just
Okay, yeah, I
just
didn't even
strapping
register
in.
that. Oh God, I didn't
Just
hear her.
strapping in.
My brain just like heard that and let that go.
I
Betty
probably
said that wasn't the important part, is
Okay,
what
yeah.
Betty said.
She says that she's like walking away and getting the bottle of wine, and you
Janet
guys get
chugs
all
what's
set
left in
up.
her glass since Betty's gonna finish the rest of her very expensive vintage wine.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah, while Betty's just chugging and then like waddling around the table, and I think she's just kind of like looking at what's on the table.
Leftover lasagna.
Yeah,
She's like the
leftover
last
Jell-O.
of the dishes. Yeah.
Oh no,
Can
those
I-
are done actually. The table's clean. Sorry,
Yeah,
the
table's clean
actually
now, yeah.
fully
Oh, the
clean.
table's clean. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah. There's
just
no
the bottle.
sign of the dinner party. Just the
Okay,
leftover
all
wine,
right.
probably.
That's true. That's true. Never mind. She just kind of waddles around and comes back and paces the room, and
Yeah,
says,
like waiting.
Well, are you ready?
Well,
or are you
I'm
going
not
to
sitting
tend to
here
him
for
like
my
he's a
health.
small baby?
Well, I was checking on him to make sure he was all right.
Doesn't he look fine? He looks fine. You look fine, David.
Thank you. Thank you. I was called a cosplayer,
I wish I looked
and I'm
that
not
fine,
sure if that is
honestly.
good.
Okay. Well, honey, I guess it depends on what circles you run in. If somebody called me a cosplayer, I might cut their eyes out. But it takes their
Oh,
own.
it's bad then. Should I hurt them?
Well, it's No, we don't. Maybe. Why doesn't Betty finish what she has to tell me, and then maybe we can make a decision how to move forward.
Okay.
Betty? All right, then.
Betty like gulps down, like swallowing a
Yeah,
big mouthful of wine she had.
You just hear her like chugging, and then she puts the bottle down and says,
well, we've finally got that dang USB back from the Capital Kings. It's fine.
Who are the Capital Kings?
That part doesn't matter, Janet. What matters is the information we got from the USB, which I did not even realize Elspeth and David are pretty good at that computer box thing, you know. They put the stick in there and they found a password. Apparently, people use the word purple. Purple. Who knew a color could just be such a blockage of information? Well, anyways, we got this information that Alicia Fellweather is a ghoul, belongs to some Ventru. I don't know if you know who they are.
Check. You can intelligence politics check, Janet.
Okay.
But continue. Betty still ran. She's going.
But apparently they, you know, have pretty decent influence in your parts of the world and, or unworld. What do we call it? I don't know. But anyways, they're not a council member or anything like that.
Oh,
but
that's
we did
good.
get an image of
really
her.
Good about this. I don't know who that is. I'm starting to panic.
That's not a name you know at all.
All I heard was Ventru and somebody's Ventru ghoul, and now okay. Yeah, okay. Keep talking, Betty. I'm feeling better.
If only there was an anxiety frenzy.
Image of her, but it's not very good. You could show it to her, David, and she's married. That information we have.
Congratulations.
I don't know how that's helpful, but
Janet,
I wouldn't say congratulations. As someone who has been married before,
Oh,
sometimes it can be
samesies.
quite awful.
Yes.
other than them mentioning the Ventru,
by the way, out of
None-
character, marriage is lovely if you're married to the right person. This is just Betty's opinion. Don't come at me.
Janet, other than her mentioning the Ventru, none of what she just said made a lick of fucking sense, I imagine, to you.
Okay.
What USB stick?
And then she just
purple?
chugs more wine.
Yeah, and then she continues on drinking wine.
Please tell me you did not steal data or information or USB sticks or whatever.
Still,
from
no,
a
it was mine to
Ventru
begin with. It
ghoul.
didn't belong to her. Or to him, or to the Capital Kings. It was mine.
Again, the Capital Kings means nothing to you.
I still don't know who that
You
is.
see, Mutt got it for me.
Who's
and then
Mutt?
Mutt lost.
Mutt
And then
is a
Mutt
man that
lost
might
it.
be homeless.
And then, well, he didn't really lose it. It was more like the Capital King stole it from him because he's a weakling, but that's fine. There's a whole other problem that we have to deal with in the future.
Just so you know, Betty, or anybody who uses Blush of Life, you do in fact get drunk.
Oh,
while
perfect.
You
Well,
are
does Betty
Blush
get
of
drunk
Lifing.
off
So
of
Betty
one
is
bottle?
getting-
It
I
is
don't
good
know.
vintage wine, so you might.
Has
Get
to
a
say,
little.
like, it's not cheap wine specifically, but also like I don't
Betty
know
has a
what
high
Betty's-
tolerance.
This is
I was
what we
gonna
would
say.
call a sipping wine, in which you just chugged from the bottle.
Yep,
Perfect.
Yep. Just so you know, just putting it out there. But
Yeah, you tell me whatever you want me to do, Mike, on that
you
front.
tell me what Betty's like tolerance was prior to her being turned to a kindred. Was she a drunk prior?
She's a drug addict.
Yeah, but does she get drunk?
I think she will take anything. Anything that
substance, yeah.
makes her
You might
forget.
be feeling really tipsy, maybe. I don't think you get blackout drunk or anything, but I think you'd start feeling good. You start feeling.
Yeah,
really
I think
good.
she used it as an escape. Like, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Let's start at the beginning. You all go out for a stroll. You clearly hit a thrift store and chose the absolute worst possible choice for his body frame, and then proceeded to walk the streets,
I had
get
nothing to do with that.
called cosplayers, and then you went to help out a guy called Mutt?
Well, it wasn't. I was helping Mutt. No. You've got it wrong. He was helping me, and then he fucked up, and I had to clean it up. That's how I see this.
Okay, and so you
But you almost got the story right very closely. I was not involved in the clothing option. In fact, I was of the opinion that David could have no clothes. Right, David?
She keeps saying that.
Well, inside
mean,
the
look at
house, she's absolutely correct. You
She
well,
drinks more.
Okay, so Betty goes to help Mike. You two just tag along, and what you find out is somebody stole something from Mutt, and it had information about this Alicia on it.
Yes, and you see, the thing with Alicia is that That is where the package went.
What package? Whose package?
You remember the package that we delivered?
Oh, yeah, the one that we were just
Yes,
supposed to
yes.
deliver and leave alone and not bother with anymore and worry about
Well,
what.
we delivered it.
Right.
And there was
yes.
nothing about leaving it alone. That's your.
Right. I left it alone, and now once again you've come here not just to tell me maybe what's okay. Well, so that box was picked up by this school of Aventru named Alicia, and we're worried about it. Why? What you don't?
Well, you see, Leon has been getting these threats, and I told him that I would look into this
I see.
person that
Okay.
he was looking for. Yes, and that's.
Well, to save all of us from final death, I think what I would suggest is that since it's a Ventru school, when one of my recent phone calls comes through, maybe I will suss out some more information and see if that is
Perfect. I'm on my way now. See you later, David. I hope you have a great time here, and hopefully they don't try to put more clothes on you. If you need something, Janet, do let me know.
Oh, yes, I'll ring the dinner bell. Bye, Betty.
She chugs the rest of it, puts the bottle down, and just like.
And as she
heads
leaves,
down.
I
Way
take that
out
bottle
front.
and then empty bottle and put it on a coaster because, of course, she did not set it on a coaster.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Betty leaves, and David's just sitting there silent the whole time.
Oh, honey. I look at David. Are you okay?
I'm fine. I think Betty is not fine.
Well,
I think Betty is crazy.
Honey, I'm glad to know that a few days outside of the box is giving you some perspective, because some days I agree with you. Betty walks her own path. She's on her own little journey.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I wanted to show you something. I was hoping it might help you.
Is it more clothes?
Not until you're ready. We can talk about that. And I do want to talk about that because I don't necessarily believe what Betty believes. I think clothes can be freeing when they are a representation of you. Remember, I watched you make that artwork on the wall. You defaced the business wall outside of Leon's place. Remember?
I remember seeing that, and I think that I did that, yes.
Yeah, and you did the pretty face of that woman.
Annika.
Yeah. Some people see clothing and clothing design like art. It's just as freeing as, say, making your little claw engravings.
I know that you have a style. I can see it in the art that you've chosen for your rooms.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I recently redid the drapes.
It's very nice.
Oh, thank you very much. And I believe that clothes can be that too. Did you know that I make clothes?
That's what you have said.
I actually tailor those clothes for people so that it fits them so nice that they do feel good in their bodies and their skins instead of, having to buy from a Goodwill baby.
Elle made the purchase for the clothes from the thrift store.
And
She said
she was
that-
just trying to do right by you. She was trying to help.
She said it was societally acceptable if that I did not expose myself.
That's actually true. Our society, even if you know little about it, does have some stigmatisms around nudity. That's not your fault. That's their problem, honey, okay? But I have something I want to show you. You said something while we was having milkshakes, and it's stuck with me.
I like milkshakes. Thank you for teaching me how to swallow.
Well, some things are hard learned, baby. Janet takes a moment
There's probably a moment she's like,
as she actually just revealed her hand of her past, but David doesn't quite get it, and she says,
Nope.
Upstairs, I have a library. Do you know what that is?
I do.
In that library, my husband, or my dead husband, was very about maintaining something called an encyclopedia. Do you know what that is?
It is a collection.
That's right, of information. You said when we was having milkshakes that you didn't know what to call yourself, that you were lacking words to help identify how you see yourself.
Yes.
I think that is sad.
Is that sad?
It is for me. Because the moment I had words to tell people who I was and define myself, I could be myself. But without those words, how do you communicate to others and even to yourself? So I'm going to do something I don't usually do, okay, honey? I'm going to go unlock the library. And I thought maybe you could just spend some time skimming through books till something feels familiar.
Are you no longer sad?
Oh, honey, I'm sad every day. That don't stop me.
You seem sad.
Well, I guess there's no lying to you, is there, David?
Why would you lie to me?
I wouldn't.
Again.
Again?
You did lie to me once.
About?
When we first met, I don't even remember what it was, but I remember that you lied.
No. Well, I'm sorry if you feel that I lied to you.
Thank you. It doesn't matter anymore.
No, I would say it doesn't. 'Cause honestly, honey, I just want the best for you. I can tell that things are a little overwhelming, and it would be nice for you to find some answers. Yeah?
I don't know if things are overwhelming as much as I don't know if the world is ready for David.
Well, the world doesn't have much of a choice now, do they, honey? 'Cause you're here.
Why are you being so nice to me, Janet?
Why wouldn't I be?
Well, you already have sons, and I do not think that you are as nice to them as you are being to me.
They're not my sons.
I thought you had many sons.
I do. In a certain turn of phrase. These are actually my stepsons. Or at least they were.
Then is it better to be your friend or to be your son? Stepson.
I don't know about better. But I can tell you, if you're actually my friend, that comes with great benefits.
I'd like to be your friend, Janet. I think you're very nice.
I think you're nice too, David. You're a little confused on the occasion, but aren't we all? Come on. I want to show you something.
Okay.
And I'll take you up to the second floor, which is the room that Elspeth has been dying to get into. The one that is always closed. Janet pulls out a key and unlocks it, and she opens it up to a rather extravagant library/office. There's a portrait of her husband against the back wall, and then of course the walls are just lined with books, right? Most of this is for show. He never read a book in his fucking life. But here it is in this office, oak wood desk, and he would have had 2 chairs for guests if he needed to take business meetings. But this room is untouched. Does not come in here very often. She gestures for you to enter, and she points to kind of the matching set of leather-bound, like, encyclopedia on the wall. And she says, maybe you'll find what you're looking for. Maybe you won't, but the least I can do is give you a place to start.
Thank you.
I think you should see this. She goes over and she kind of runs the spines till she finds the range under the letter D. And she opens it up and she kind of flips through till she finds what she's looking for. And she finds a picture of the statue of David, a very infamous piece of art that, of course, would be in an encyclopedia. And she says, I don't know why, kid, but I guess when I met you, I thought of this.
It's David.
It is.
It's Michelangelo's.
That is correct. I don't know much about art, but
That's me.
that is the statue of David. You are maybe modeled after it, or were created in its likeness.
Maybe.
I find it rather ironic that your name's David.
It was before my battle with Goliath.
That's right. And I want you to look here. He doesn't wear clothes either. And he's considered one of the most beautiful pieces of art in the world.
I remember that David is in Italy, and you remind me of Italy.
Well, that's funny.
You remind
say
me
that,
of
honey.
of the people, of the culture. And I don't know how I know about the people or the culture, but I can hear it in you.
It's long line. I wasn't born in Italy. You know, it's like a great grandma type thing. But yeah, my family, they're Italian. My husband, she gestures to the portrait. He was Italian. My business is Italian.
Did I win against Goliath?
Well, of course. But that's a different story in a different book.
Do you have that book?
Janet has to think. There is a Bible in this house. She just has never in her whole life of living here for almost 25 years ever thought about that book. And she says, actually, yeah. And she probably goes over to maybe a drawer or something and pulls out like an old copy. And she says, yeah, that story's right in here somewhere, honey. I can't say I'm well-versed in this book, if you know what I mean.
It looks very old.
She kind of cracks the spine. It looks like maybe it's like a family Bible for the Luciano family. It was probably a family Bible. She says, well, it's passed down by my husband's family, so I imagine it is pretty old. Hey, look, it's got an Italian stamp. Came from Italy.
I will be very careful. I know that books can be fragile.
Honey, I'm not worried about it.
Will you lock the door with me inside, or should I take one book and go to the room?
I will leave the door open tonight so you can come and go. But I will be honest with you because we're friends, right? The house locks at night. That's not necessarily because I'm afraid of you or I'm trying to keep you locked in. But it is a safety precaution for both us while we sleep during the day and for everybody else out on the street. They'll unlock when it turns nighttime again. We've got about 45 minutes before they close. So you are going to have to stay in here tonight until it unlocks in the tomorrow night, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I'm not keeping you hostage. As soon as it's unlocked, you're free to frolic about. I just, and tomorrow I thought maybe you might want to come down. I got something else I want to show you in the shop.
Janet, when you try to make clothes for me, can you make something that doesn't close off or shield my wings?
Of course.
I don't like it when things hold my wings down.
That's understandable, honey. Nobody likes to be bound. You think I like wearing a bra?
You do not?
No, honey.
There's a moment, David, where you're like, you know what a bra is, and for some reason, you just have hard time getting them off.
They remind me of
other
pants.
people, not off of you, of other people.
They're very hard to remove.
Well, they
especially
can be.
In cars.
If you don't know what you're doing, okay. I think what I'm trying to say, honey, is sometimes even I have to wear things I don't like. But I've learned over the years to wear things that I love instead. And even though I have to put on a bra for namesake, you don't think that I wear it when I don't have to. The moment I walk through that door, they're free.
Janet, when will I meet more like us?
In time. I imagine it will not be long.
Will they be as nice?
I can't promise that, sweetheart.
Okay.
But I can promise you that you're not going to stand there alone.
I'm not worried about being alone. I was reminded tonight that while I do not like to be violent, I can be and was made that way.
Maybe. You know, our kind, we're all made in the image of the person before us. All of us. But no matter how hard they try, we don't always turn out exactly the way they want us to. But that doesn't make us a mistake. It just makes us different and unique. And if they can't handle that, then that's their problem, not yours, okay?
Yeah,
You want me to tell you a secret?
please. I like secrets.
I wasn't supposed to be a kindred.
What were you supposed to be?
A housewife until I was done away with and no longer needed. More importantly, I definitely wasn't supposed to become a kindred who eats human flesh.
I think I'm supposed to be a kindred that eats milkshakes. It was really good.
Well, the good news is, honey, I got everything downstairs. Tomorrow night, I'll make you a fresh milkshake for breakfast.
I haven't been hungry yet for something other than a milkshake, though.
It's okay. The hunger is... it will happen. And when it does, I'll be there to help you through it. So will Elspeth and, maybe Betty, if that's where her path takes her that night.
Is it okay if I sleep tonight on the floor in here?
You can sleep wherever you want, as long as it's not my bed.
Do you have a small bed?
Oh, no, honey. I have a big bed in which I worked many years to be able to sleep diagonal in, so...
I understand. And I am large, so I would take up a lot of your bed.
That's true. But I do have a spare room. I got sofas. There's a cot downstairs, in the basement. And when you get up in the morning, we'll have milkshakes, and I'll take you downstairs and show you one of my favorite things.
Thank you, Janet.
Oh, and lest I forget, she walks over and pulls, now one book already missing, the D letter. She pulls the C and she flips it open to cosplay. She lays it on the desk and she says, "You decide for yourself."
I will. I have some reading ahead of me. Thank you.
You're so welcome, honey. But don't forget to get some sleep, huh?
I don't know how I sleep. I just know that I am and then I am again.
Oh, and if my husband shows up, just ignore him, honey. He's a pain in the ass.
Do you practice oblivion?
Where did you learn that term?
From Elle. Elle told me about oblivion, and she said that she works with the dead. You said that your husband died.
He did. I guess that whole death do us part thing was all a lie.
Will he be mad that I'm here then?
He's mad that I'm here, honey. It's not about you.
I understand. If I see him, I will tell him to go away.
Good luck with that. And she kind of lightly pats him on, reaches up and pats him on the cheek,
Yeah.
and she says, "Get some sleep, yeah?"
I'll try.
Okay.
And
Janet kind of that mom walk of finally I get to go to bed as she kind of trods away.
And yeah, as you leave and the door shuts behind it and we see David kind of turn to the books, we will fade to black, take our break.
Perfect.
And read back.
It's already break time?
Uh-huh.
It's right at 4.
We'll be
All right,
back
we're
in a
going to
bit.
take a quick break. We'll be back, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break, refilled your drinks, all that good stuff. We are just going to kind of jump right back into it and keep going. So, without further ado, Janet, as we fade back in from break, we fade back into the sounds of all the locks kind of being undone as you immediately rise for the evening, music playing and so on. But I imagine one of the first things you would do is go into the library and check. Is the library sunproof?
Yes, it is actually one of the only 2 rooms internally that have no window.
Okay. And that's all I want to make sure, because it'd be hilarious if David was dust in the morning.
Nope. She would not set it up for that level of failure.
See, I imagine you go. That would be one of the first things you do is just go and check on him.
Figure out. Yeah, I gotta go find him. He's in the house somewhere.
Yep.
The door's locked. Where he is, I don't know.
As you walk in to the library, probably the first place you would check just to make sure. You actually see he's still in torpor at the moment. As you walk around, you would actually see somewhere near him. He hasn't quite figured out when to lay down because he's kind of just near a table that he was standing in, just kind of like on the ground like a dead body.
What was he reading before he fell asleep?
It's open to the encyclopedia page. But there's actually a little note. It looks like he had been taking notes in the leg on just like a torn off piece of paper, I imagine, David. Just like ripped it, and let me copy paste. I can just send it to you.
I don't want to get too close because it's like you don't want to wake the sleeping babe, right? Even though she knows it's torpor. But I want to peek what he was looking at, so I know where his mind was before he went into torpor.
Yeah, let me send it to you on Discord.
Oh, perfect. I'm gonna have to pull up Discord then. Oh, I got it up and look at it.
We don't get to know secrets.
Secrets. I mean, it's up to Janet whether she shares or even if David's.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna read it live in my brain and react like Janet would react if she reads it out loud while he's sleeping. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like, oh. Now I'm like, oh.
Pearl clutching. Oh God. What have I done? Like, there's this moment where Janet's like, we might have gone too far down the rabbit hole. Okay. Oh, sweetheart. Oh God. Okay.
I wrote that on break. That was inspired on break.
I would. Okay. Well.
Oh my goodness. Now I want to know.
David, sweetie, honey. Wakey.
I mean, he at some point you just come to, David. There was not wakey that woke you up. Just like you blinked.
Janet's like smiling in your face.
And like you were just finished writing something. You were reading something, and now you're on the floor.
I glance up to Janet.
Good morning. Just evening.
I fell asleep again, didn't I?
Well, yeah, honey. That's how it works. We all do.
I'll figure this out.
You'll get the timing right. I see you were busy last night.
Oh, I'm sorry. And David starts to like immediately fold a book closed again.
But honey, let me tell you something. You got to stop apologizing. It's exhausting. Aren't you tired of saying you're sorry?
No. I don't think I'm tired.
Okay, well, how about this? You don't have to apologize. I let you in here. I asked you to stay. I encouraged you to fill your mind with the knowledge in black and white. So I hope you found did you find what you was looking for?
I don't know.
Well, okay.
I feel like I have more questions than I had before I went to sleep.
Oh, welcome to being an intelligent human being.
Am I a human being?
In a way.
I don't think I am.
We all were at some point. In some way.
I read the Bible passage about David and Goliath.
Oh, good bedtime story?
It was strange, Janet.
Well, yeah, it's about a kid who takes out a giant with a stone, honey. It's a tale, a tall tale. Literally. Haha, I made a joke.
Why is David good and Goliath bad? Is it because Goliath was large or because he was cruel?
It's neither, sweetheart. It's because the person that wrote that book decided to put their bias on it. The world is not that black and white. In the end, even if the giant was slain, David is a murderer.
He used a stone to kill Goliath, and they loved him for it.
They did. He saved the day. Lots of lives. One lost in exchange for the many. Does that make David a good person? Hell, I don't know. Who am I to judge him? I didn't have a giant at my doorstep.
If I had been there, would they have called me Goliath or David?
Honey, I imagine they would have called you a lot of things. Had this been 200 years ago, they would have put me at a stake and burned me because I wanted to talk contracts with men.
I think I am more unsettled than not.
Yeah, welcome to living in reality.
I just do not understand why they would worship violence and divine judgment.
We always worship violence. We do it differently now. Military-industrial complex, illegal sales of weaponry, you know. It all is same shit, different facade. And you can riddle your mind into insanity with the questions of why, or you can figure out how to live in it.
I'll try not to think too much of it. I do like books, though.
Well,
They are inspiring.
I hate this room, so consider it yours. You can spend as much time as you want dusting off all these old books. It's not like you ever cracked any other covers.
Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
That's very kind.
And you know what? In here, you can be as naked as you want to. In fact, you don't even have to have a towel if you want to sit in his leather seat. You can be free, David.
I like that.
I had a feeling. In fact, I want to show you something. Come here.
Oh. He moves quickly.
She takes you all the way downstairs and shows you the basement where you and Elspeth have kind of stayed before, right? But she shows you kind of there's a door in there, and y'all have never been through it. It actually goes into the back of the shop. It's kind of like a hidden door. It opens almost like a bookshelf into her private actual sewing space where she works. And then that goes into the shop in the front. And she takes you out into the shop, which is now closed, and shows you a wall of like expensive, nice fabric, colors and patterns and like options. And she says, go ahead, touch it, feel it, tell me which one you like.
This could take a minute.
Good. That's the whole point, kid. If you do something in a hurry, what good is it? It has no value.
I think to some surprise, after, I don't know, 10 to 20 minutes of touching and rubbing the fabric, David will settle on a fabric, and it's certainly not what some might consider really nice fabric.
Sure.
I think I like this one.
Do you know what kind you're thinking of? Or just like a cheap fabric?
Yes, I am aware of it. It's what they sort of like, they make swaddles for like infants. It's muslin.
Like a muslin soft cloth, like a cotton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know, we could work with that. Do you like the way it feels? So maybe that's what's on the inside of the jacket and the shirt? It'd be a great cotton linen shirt.
I think he pauses for a moment, and he, like, almost furrowing his eyes. It doesn't hold me. It drapes like wings without weight.
Oh, I get it. Avant-garde. You want a untailored fit, no seams. I get it. Okay. All right, honey. Well, maybe
I do not like things that are coarse and scratchy.
Yeah, okay. I see. Well, this is a good start. And she kind of pulls the whole reel off the wall, right? That's how it works. She like pulls the giant spool of it out, sets the yard wrap of it down, and she says, well, you're gonna want a jacket. It does get cold sometimes in Boston, you know, and instead of hiding your wings, what if I give you flaps?
You see, like, earnest confusion on his face. He doesn't know what to make of that.
You know who Sherlock Holmes is, kid?
I am familiar with the name.
Can you picture Sherlock Holmes in your head? Can you see him, his hat, and his cowled trench coat?
I'll let you decide if you know.
I don't know if he does. I don't like you can see that he's struggling.
Yeah, so Janet immediately goes maybe for a pattern book or some kind of fashion magazine, right? And she's kind of flipping through. And it's probably like a Burberry catalog, right? Something that's really posh and British. Burberry's, if y'all don't know, one of the very first and most important coat companies ever in the world. And they make high quality coats of all kinds. And she opens up to maybe like a dress trench. And the kind of standard of the Victorian time was that it was a coat that you wore, but it had a cowl, meaning it had this long piece over top of it. It was like a second layer. And she says, what if we do something like that so it's open and free? No holes. No, just some fabric. Something like you want leather. I really hate to drape you in polyester, honey. Look at you. Well, maybe a wool.
I will trust you, Janet, so long as it does not obscure or hide or tether my wings.
Okay, now here comes the fun part. She reaches over on the wall and she grabs the measuring tape. She says, I gotta take your measurements.
He instinctively, like, puffs out his wings as far as they'll go.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not going to fit in the dressing room. Why don't we just stand you? And she kind of takes you to, like, the large mirror where usually you take a customer after they have been in, like,
Sure.
the first round. But you're naked and it's just the two of us, so. And I step you up on, like, the little pedestal that sets you up high. And she says, why don't we just, let's relax the wings. Whew. We're gonna relax the wings. There we go. Okay. I'm going to get a little personal, kid. I gotta measure your inseam. Okay. And she kind of hits her knees, you know, and she has to measure his inseam, like, and she's like, oh boy, you big man, waist, and she kind of begins taking measurements. And as she does, she's writing things down, and there's no modesty to this. She's not concerned about your body or you being naked. Like, this is what she does, and she knows it very well.
You can tell that David doesn't have an understanding of why there would be that, like, bizarre modesty. He's
right, and neither does she. So it's almost like this, like, really innocent moment of you getting fitted for your fursuit, like a kid at high school, right? Like, there's an innocence to it. And she kind of goes through the motions of measurements, writing it all down, and she says, "Okay, now do me a solid and show me those beautiful wings."
And he does the wings again, and you notice that he almost instinctively moves into like a Vitruvian man with the arms out as wide as he can as well.
Yeah, well, we'll just put the arms down, just relax a little, okay? And she tries. The measuring tape is obviously not as long as his wingspan, so she has to do a little math in her head, which is not hard for her. As she kind of, and she says, "Honey, this is gonna be my masterpiece if I get this right."
Am I too big for your suits?
Oh, honey, there's no man too big for my suits.
Then I am excited to see what you make.
Me too. It might take me some time. Beauty comes at a cost. And for Janet, it's time.
Will we see Betty again tonight?
Honey, I could put a tracker on that woman and still not know where she is. No, I have no idea. She might come by if she's feeling saucy. If she needs some more wine, she'll come and drink out of my bar dry.
I understand. Then what should I be doing for the rest of the night?
Whatever you want.
Well, I do not think that... Or maybe it is fine. Should I stay here then, on the floor?
Well, honey, the locks are... We got about 30 minutes till the locks are open. I would encourage you to stick around. You could watch me make your suit. If we could see if Betty shows up. I run a business that I definitely can't tell you about, but we could pretend you don't see nothing.
If you run a business, will it not be more beneficial that I am gone?
Well, not necessarily. I guess you could say my business is done behind closed doors.
I understand.
The suit shop is just a side hustle.
Well, it is beautiful, and I think it seems very lucrative for you.
It can be. That's a big word. Where'd you learn that word?
I think I saw it next to the description of what a cosplayer and costume maker can earn or have.
I see. Well, Aren't you just a little sponge? Okay, well, I start pulling some things right off the shelf, and I say, I need to cut a pattern. I gotta get going on this.
You're gonna get to work.
Yeah. Do you wanna watch?
I will.
All right, kid. That's gonna be tight. Because my back room where I make stuff is relatively small. It's like a small office. So, but you know, he can watch me make it. Whatever.
Well, as you make your way back there, I want first, Betty, you wanted to feed before you went to sleep the night before. Can you make me your hunting roll, please? I want to not forget that. And then after that, I need everybody to make me a rouse check for waking up.
Okay. My hunting roll, I remember I wrote this down to make sure, is Dex plus stealth.
Nice. That's not bad for you at all.
Because I'm a sand manner.
A sad manner.
Sad manner. 1.
Wow.
One success is one
Oh
success.
my
You
gosh,
can re-roll
look how
3
I
of those,
rolled.
though. Yeah, that's a rough roll. You
Yeah,
can re-roll 3 of those.
I've had some rough rolls today too. It's not bad.
What is that?
What is that?
That happened last week to somebody
Hey,
too.
look
That's
at
better.
that though.
It was me.
Oh, shit.
It
Not
was
only
me.
that,
I
it's
had that
critical.
huge dice
gonna say,
pool
you
that one
critical.
time. And I was like, what is that?
That's great. You critted.
Not only so you critical succeed without anyone to, it's easy. You can feed down to 1 hunger. You're good.
What is this? Does this person have
Oh yes, resonance. Yeah. Because you criticaled, is there a particular one that you would be looking for, or a particular flavor or mood you'd be looking for? Let me pop open the resonances real quick.
I think he's looking for
Resonance,
something chill, some chill vibes, but something that's gonna make her feel like excitement.
Yeah,
She's
like
about to-
excitement, sanguine is probably what you want then. Choleric, melancholy, phlegmatic, I don't think is what you're looking for. Let's see how long it lasts for you and what it gives you. There it is. Blood sorcery presence. What
It's
are your
usually
main-
I
what are your
add
main
1
disciplines?
die to a
what are your-
category.
Right. Which is I'm just like, what are your main disciplines usually? What do you operate off of?
Obfuscate,
Presence, obfuscate.
and presence, and then aspects.
All right. Each one is a different blood resonance type. Do you have a preferred? I know you can find somebody who's like jolly and whatnot, but do you prefer a particular discipline have a bonus? Obfuscate, presence, or...
What I prefer?
Yeah.
Probably obfuscate, but aspects would probably be second up.
Okay. If you're looking for mood more than power, you're probably not going to go for obfuscate because it requires somebody who's melancholy. So you went for somebody phlegmatic. Go ahead and roll me a 1d10.
Okay. Roll 1d10. 3.
Rolling a 3. Okay. Yeah, it'll last for the rest of the night. You're going to have a plus. Anytime you use that ability, anything that requires aspects, I think you get a 1d10 bonus to it.
Yeah, I get 1 extra.
Yep. So that'll last for the rest of the evening. No one catches you. You're criticaled. Like, you have no issues. And you're down to 1 hunger. And then the other 2, did you guys succeed? Are you all good on your hungers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So for you, Janet, and Betty, first of all, Betty, are you heading to Janet's?
I don't know if I have a reason to go to Janet's at the moment.
That's fair. I'm going to have Janet. I want you to make me a dexterity craft check.
With my specialty included,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna rouse for fun. Great. I get hungrier, but I care about this. For
Wait, you're at
all
hunger 3? I thought you were...
I roused last night again.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Yep.
Damn.
And yep.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Oh yeah, do we all need to rouse check?
Yes, you need a rouse check, please. The other 2 already did theirs. You're good. All right, Betty, you're good.
All right, here we go. So Dex Craft.
And you're gonna need to eat tonight again.
Yeah, it'll be fun. This will be fun. It's
much
okay. Even if she
more-
only feeds down one hunger, it would be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But how many more how much more body do
So
you have?
she had one in the freezer before she brought the guy from the docks. The guy from the docks is what she fed them last night. So if whatever she has is like backup or frozen, but a one is a one helpful in the right direction. So here we go.
All right, so probably after this feeding.
Well, that wasn't very good. So screw it.
It's not bad though.
We'll willpower. I'm gonna willpower it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because that was a pretty big pool. So another two.
Successes.
Another two.
Yeah, 5 successes is basically you're a master at this shit.
Yeah, it's just gonna take her some time.
Suit is literally just gonna take you time. Would you? You wouldn't be able to even get it done in a night, right?
Absolutely not. It's gonna take her. It would take her some time. Like she would start with like she's got to make the pattern, and then after the pattern, she's got to actually start the sewing process of the draft of it. She's got to fit him. Then she's got to use the actual fabric. She's got to line it. Like this is a whole process because she's making multiple pieces. So it could take her a week, right? These are custom tailored and made things.
So you don't spend all night working on it. You probably spend a couple hours with David there. Also watching over you is kind of awkward. You probably don't have a lot of people like hovering when you work.
Right.
David, for you in particular, as you watch her working though, again, 5 successes is an incredible number of successes. You being what you are and who you are, you immediately recognize and can appreciate the artistry involved, the deft hand, the skilled, being able to just measure, and even as people get really good at something, there's just little things that they know work, or little like workarounds that are better than the way to do it by the book. And it's clear that Janet is filled with just working knowledge on how to tailor a suit to somebody in a particular. Every little maneuver she's making, every little like deviation from the norm she makes is specifically because you're a unique frame, a unique body with the wings and so on. And while, she barely, I would say she's barely like an eighth of the way through getting everything going. She's just getting the fabric, she's getting it cut, she's getting everything set up. You still watch as she moves with such precision, such a grace. It's almost, I wouldn't say almost, for David, it's probably beautiful to watch, just the artistry involved in it all. So while for Janet, when we're on her perspective and we're kind of like in front of her, it's an awkward, I imagine, just kind of hovering, not super close, but he's always back there watching.
Yeah, she doesn't usually have an audience, but
exactly. So it's like all we hear in that is like the silence of just the machinery and whatnot. But when we swing over to David's perspective, there's almost a more, the sounds get more dull, but there's almost a underlying rhythm behind it that we couldn't hear when we were taking it in from Janet's perspective. Not that she can't feel or see or hear her own rhythm, but somebody's in the room with her. But for David, it's more like, it's like music. It's like a dance. It's like a painting. It's like a craft. And it's beautiful and it's artistic and you're taken with it. It's impossible for you to look away, even if you wanted to right now. There's just a compulsion in a way to just watch, appreciate. I don't know if David would feel jealousy, but I feel like David's the kind of person who sees something beautifully being done and would like the act of doing it himself.
Yeah, it's like one artist watching another artist. Yeah.
Being like,
you always have the urge to join them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to put words in your mouth or what's in David's mind, but that's what I picture. Feel free to take it from there. What is going through David's mind as he's watching?
I think there's a strong chance that David would pause and just watch, like when an artist falls, like lockstep in their moment, when they're taken by it.
The zone. They get in the groove.
Yeah.
So,
and when that happens, I think David like almost blurts out, "Janet, did you make me?"
Oh, honey.
That probably even makes you like cut a little weird or stop your cutting.
Yeah, I imagine the sewing machine like come the rhythm of it comes to like a hard stop, and she goes, "Oh, honey, no, I didn't make you. I make suits and I make money clean."
You move with such confidence, and it's delicate, and it's like a human body. It's like a body, like you are making a person.
Well, this is what I was trying to tell you. You go buy something off a rack, baby, you're gonna feel like you was brought off a rack. Here, I can make you feel like you're special, something unique, made for you. It is a craft. It's like a second skin.
I still think pants are strange.
okay. Well, we're going to work on the pants. I have some thoughts. With the trench coat, you may not even need pants, baby. We'll talk about it. And she kind of goes back to it, but since the kind of silence is broken, she'll say, I was coming in to check on you this morning, and I saw you had made some notes on your book findings.
Is that okay?
Oh, it's perfectly fine. I was just interested in maybe what she was taking notes about. Knowing Janet's read it top to bottom.
Yeah. Go ahead and make me a deception subterfuge check, and you may make me a wits awareness, David.
A what kind of
sure.
manipulation?
Subterfuge. Yep.
Yeah, this will
be
read
it.
Okay. I guess I'm not really persuading him, so you were right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely leaning. I am
David
leaning into conversation. I got one.
Wits awareness. Oh wow, your wits awareness is so much higher than I thought it would be for David.
I get bonuses for determining when people lie to me.
Yeah.
She's not really lying.
It's even like it's the whenever manipulation is used against David, he gets bonuses for it.
She's not using any powers, but she's clearly trying to get you to open up about what you experienced in your time in the books.
Yeah.
There's general pause, right? There is general pause. I think that David, I think he's okay. There's the moment where he sort of mulls, right? And he is just generally okay with that. And it's like you see someone kind of coming to terms, right? It's a visible.
Yeah, sure.
That's a visible thing.
She keeps sewing to try to not make a scene of it because she knows she might have pushed some buttons, but she's just gonna keep
I think I'm just trying to understand how I fit in to now. And I know that I think that I am not the David from the Bible.
Well, that's a pretty good realization. Some foundational thought. That's good. That's great, kid. I'm glad you came to that realization one step closer, right?
And for some reason in your head, David, you just think, and I'm about to break. Linkin Park song. You finished the lyric in your head. You said
emo
one step
begins.
closer. Yeah, you said one step closer, and in your head, for some reason, you're just to the edge, and I'm about to break. You don't know why. You just knew the line.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It just is part of who you are.
I don't want to lie to you, kid. I took a peek at your poetry. You're having some real big thoughts.
I think I just understand my person, who I am, who I've become, or who I am supposed to be. And I see the lie that was called a legend. And somewhere I understand that I do not look at things the same way as others might. And I remember a word that describes how I think. And someone once told me I was pragmatic.
Okay.
And I struggle with legends. I like them as legends create new form. They inspire.
That's right. They teach us things. They're just learning mechanisms. But some people say that all story is based in some truth. This has to come from somewhere.
I just don't understand why David was made from stone.
You mean the statue?
And me.
Oh. Well, that's like asking a painter why they chose the color yellow. They just did.
I feel like it's more than that.
Maybe it is. And maybe you'll get that question answered. I really hope you do. And if I can help you, I will. But
Janet,
yeah.
I think I'm bad at being a statue.
Well, honey, it's because you're not a statue. That's like saying I'm bad at being a wife. I'm not anymore. You're not a statue. That is not what you are. You are something, and even though we're still trying to figure it out, it doesn't make you a statue. You are not the statue, David. Because we could go to Italy right now, and it would be right there in the museum where the encyclopedia said it would be. Which means there's no way that you and the statue are the same thing. Maybe you were inspired by the statue of David.
If that is the case, then what does it mean if the art stops being the art and starts becoming more?
Well, I'd call that functional. That's like saying, when does fashion stop being fashion and just being a functional piece of clothing? The moment somebody wears it and brings it to life, it goes from being fashion to style, you know? Everybody has a creator. Everybody. Yours was clearly a very unique person to be able to bring such an incredible thing to life. I've had 2 creators.
Maybe the problem is not that the art lives, but that the world isn't ready for the art to speak.
Possibly not. But that can't stop it from being. We weren't ready for World War II or the nuclear bomb or, toasters in households and TVs without antennas. But here we are, sweetheart. Every time that we are pushed to the edge, humanity, we always adapt. Always.
Maybe art was never meant to be still. It's designed to move.
Some of it, I guess if you're talking about 3-dimensional art, potentially. For whatever reason, your creator thought you were worth having a heartbeat.
You have an art piece in your room. It's a statue, a building. And it never moves. Unless moved. And it moved me. That's what I mean by art is not meant to be still. It's meant to move.
Oh, move. Oh, yes, honey. Absolutely. It's meant to inspire and encourage other people to make stuff. It's what separates us from our beasts, right? And the animals. You don't see a squirrel making statues. Creativity is unique to humankind. It makes us different.
David has a very like he's wearing his emotion on his face, and the concern sort of sets in.
Okay.
If we were made in another's vision, why have I seen so many like you and none like me?
Because you're the first of your kind. At least that I know of. That's the best explanation I got, kid. And to be the first of your kind means that there is no precedence. You said it.
I hope that everybody is as nice as you are and as accepting.
They're not gonna be. And if I told you otherwise, I would be lying to you. And I guess friends don't lie to friends.
Then I will be the Goliath in their story, and they will throw stones.
And maybe reflexively, David, you sort of bring your hand up to trace where the bullet wound was, but now is no longer, because you did sleep. You would have healed. No longer there.
They've already begun to throw stones, Janet.
I know. I've had stones thrown at me my whole life, kid. I had to grovel tonight and feed 2 pig-headed Italian mobster mafia men under my dime, my roof, on my china. Why? Because I'm really good at taking stones. It's how I got here. I'm a woman who makes men's suits.
Does anyone make anything for you?
Ha. Other than snide jokes, not really, honey. But that's okay. I'm wealthy enough to buy my art.
Then I have a new goal.
Oh?
Yes.
I guess I make myself stuff. I made what I'm wearing tonight. Do you like it?
It's beautiful, Janet.
Thank you.
You're very talented.
Thanks. Well, do you know how I learned to sew?
I do not.
I had nothing. And when you are in a certain kind of business, you require certain kinds of attire, and mine needed to be delicate. And I learned to sew for myself so that I could eat. And then, of course...
I'm glad that you chose this.
Chose what?
What you do with your hands.
Oh. Yeah, it wasn't always supposed to be like this. But you know what? Sticks and stones, my love. Here I am.
But that is yours, and no one can ever take that from you.
Here's to hoping.
I will help make sure that no one can take that from you.
Thank you. That's very kind of you, David. But, honey, right now I want you to worry about yourself. You're emerged out of a box trying to figure out your identity, and, well, your first piece of clothing is going to properly be a very expensive suit. So, yeah.
Is money very important, Janet?
It is to some people.
Marcus made it seem like money was very important.
Speaking of Marcus.
I hope he is okay.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he was okay. He kept talking like money was really important to him, you're right. And I guess you could say I have an excess. And since I'm your friend, my plan was to maybe see if I could just give him some to get him out of the tight spot that he's in. And make sure that he got to leave the city in safety.
Well,
Do you happen to know where Marcus is?
I only know of the place where I was told. Where you found me.
Yeah, the sewer hole. Did he show you any of his talents?
Not directly, no. But he did show me what he is capable of. And
What is that? What is he capable of?
he communicates with computers. Like Leon does. But more, there was weaves. Things that were not like cables, not cords. There was something more like man-made, not from a machine, but by hand.
Something you might call supernatural?
Perhaps. I'm still trying to understand what supernatural looks like. But I do not think what he was doing was super normal.
Well, that's one way to put it. Okay, honey. Did Marcus seem like maybe he was in a little bit of trouble?
Oh, yes. Marcus seemed like he was very concerned and that he might not survive if he did not have the money to escape or to have me to give to someone important.
Well, since we're friends, I know that you care about Marcus,
I think I care about Marcus.
If Marcus just happens to pop back up, you let me know so that I can help him out. I don't want him to be in trouble.
Okay, Janet. I will.
Well, would you like to, well, I gotta get you him right, kid. I'm gonna need you to put this on. This is not the final thing. This is just the pattern, okay? So we're gonna take it a step at a time, huh? And I'll like kind of put one leg. Yep. It's just one leg on him. Make sure I get the hem right before, because he's not wearing the whole piece yet. It's all just like pins and needles at this point.
Do you still wear that thing? You still wear it around your neck, right, David? You never take it off?
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what I'm talking about, Janet?
Well, actually, she's probably never quite noticed it, but if she gets up near his neck...
you're doing measurements. You will absolutely have to measure his neck.
You know,
you'll see a cable. It's like a hemp cord.
Uh-huh.
And it's tight, like it's being pulled behind his hair. And when he lifts his hair so that you can measure his like the neckline, you'll see that the backside there is what looks to be like a small glass vial, and there are the heads of dandelions, two dandelion heads inside.
Should we ask about that? I like jewelry too. I prefer pearls, over hemp, but it's a very interesting choice.
My necklace.
Your necklace, yeah, kid.
This is important to me.
Oh, that's lovely. Sentimental value.
I don't know. But I know that I cannot lose it.
Oh, whose flowers are those?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll just work around that. She kind of like continues to kind of take the measurements without messing with it too much, but she definitely finds that of interest. Kindred that become obsessed, like they're obsessive or are connected to things. There's hints there that Janet's a little like, oh, that's weird.
He probably like holds it up and like looks at them over the like one eye and angles it so that it kind of covers his right eye. It reminds me of my own eyes. The same color.
Yep, yellow. We're gonna put you in a nice navy to bring that out, honey.
That is a blue, yes?
Yes. Yeah, of course, sweetheart. Yeah.
I like blue.
Okay, good. And I'll keep going and kind of finish. And when she gets done, what she can basically do within the night, or what her fingers will allow her to do, because sewing is exhausting on your fingers. She says, "Okay, we're gonna have to pick up later on. Okay, I don't have everything, but I do have a couple pre-made pieces that I think will fit your shoulder width. It's not the final thing, but I need to." I need to tell you something. I need to give you some perspective before we go back out. Huh? Okay?
Please do.
Okay. Elspeth attempts to hide your body in other people's need of modesty is very much a kind related thing. It's part of their laws, right? Like there's literally a law that says you can't have your bits out, all right, in public. Like it's just law. And when we break that law, kind go to jail. They serve time in jail. I'm sure you have a general understanding of that concept. You serve time for your crime.
Did I commit a crime?
No, honey, you haven't committed a crime. I'm just perspective. Stick with me here, okay? So And depending on how bad you break the law, your sentence is worse, right? It's a justice, as we call it. Okay. Once we left the kind world and become kindred, we are beholden to a different set of laws. We have our own accord with each other. Would you be interested in me enlightening you on what those are?
I am happy to have you teach me.
Okay. I could go bullet point by bullet point, but I think the most important one, the foundational basis is don't break the Camarilla. Yeah? You've heard us say that before, the Camarilla, yeah?
And the masquerade.
And the masquerade. Okay, we're not going to break the Camarilla, which means we can't out the Camarilla. The average person doesn't really know we exist. And since we can't really hide you in plain sight, because that's wrong and we're not going to hide you, it is difficult for the average person who doesn't know we exist to digest the fact that you are as you are. And your being does inevitably break that masquerade, the laws that the Camarilla is supposed to uphold. Because you're hard to hide.
And my hide is hard.
Precisely. My point is made. So, knowing that, this is why we are asking you to at least wear a jacket. Because it helps with blending in amongst the average person who doesn't know we exist. Because the last thing we want to do is go to Camarilla jail, honey, okay?
I understand.
Yeah. Okay. So, knowing that, I was hoping that maybe today, when we wear the jacket, it might be a little bit easier because you have a better understanding of the why.
Janet,
Yeah.
do you break the law?
That is a very loaded question, honey.
With everything that you have said, when I was found, I would think that I broke a law and that I was imprisoned. And then you and Elle and Betty broke me out.
Oh, honey, you weren't in jail. That's not jail. Let's think of your box like a womb. You know what that is, right? Right?
I'm afraid to think of it other than anything other than a dark place. It wasn't like being in a room, Janet.
Not a room, honey. A womb.
No, I know. I know, Janet. There was something there with me. I felt someone with me before I heard your voices.
Someone with you, baby, honey. The box was empty after you got out.
Someone was talking to me, telling me their grip was cold and it was dark. And based on what Elspeth told me, it is very close to oblivion.
Do you often hear things in the dark?
Oh, I do sometimes, yes.
Does it talk directly to you?
Sometimes, yes. It even knows my name.
Does it? Is it
From
your
time to time.
friend?
Marcus? No.
No. The voice in the darkness. Do you consider it your friend?
I don't know if it is my friend. It has never caused me to be hurt, and it doesn't ever lie to me. But sometimes it tells me to do things, and I do not always do them.
What is it telling you to do?
I haven't heard it since I've been released from the box.
What did it tell you to do while you was in the box?
I don't think I want to talk about that, Janet.
I understand, honey. TMI. Understood. Okay, so, that's about all my fingers got in it tonight. So I will get you a coat off the rack. Why don't...
I want to say something, but you told me not to say it.
I told you not to say it? Okay, well, you know what? Let's break a rule tonight together in the safety of the suit shop. What you got?
I'm sorry that I made you uncomfortable by telling you about the thing in the darkness.
Oh, honey, you didn't make me uncomfortable.
It was the same way that you spoke with Leon about things. It was the same way that you walked in that room with Annika.
Honey.
It did not make you happy.
I'm a cautious lady. And that means when I can stay within the walls of my castle, I'm king. But out there, I'm fighting for every right I got. And when we walk into another kindred space, part of the masquerade asks us to be at least a little respectful. And for people like Annika, sometimes that means it's important to fear them.
I didn't feel fear in front of Annika.
Yeah, I know. And that's the difference between us. There's something special with you and Annika. I can't say the same for us. We do business, honey. That's it.
She's also very sad.
Yeah, I couldn't tell by the veil and draped lace.
It was her face.
Oh.
She was very sad to see me. I think I'd like to see Annika again. She seems to know more about me than I know about me.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe we can arrange that when, Elspeth's not sleeping in.
Well, I have so much time tonight, and I feel as if I'm crowding your small workspace.
Oh, honey, I'm done working. I'm tired. We could make that milkshake.
Okay.
I'll show you how
But
to
then
do
maybe
it. You
we
want
could
to learn
see
how to make
Annika.
one? Yeah. She's a little bit of a drive, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. The night is young, sort of. Come on, come on.
As you scooch off and move out of the crafting room, and our camera fades. I am curious, what is Betty up to on her night if she's not swinging out to Janet's, or at least not swinging out right away? Does she have anything she wants to do? I mean, she's, she might just be wandering around.
I think she's probably making some
Trouble.
artwork somewhere.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to wait?
That's up to you.
Well, talk to me about it now. What are you hoping to What are you hoping to accomplish? Are you reaching out, putting a message? Talk to me. What's Betty's thought process right now?
I think she's checking to see if there's any messages for her, first of all. And then the secondary aspect of it is either she's leaving a response or she's creating something.
Out of curiosity, when you say creating something, what do you have in mind? Intent? Just pure creative expression?
I think there are twofold here. There's one where I know she has some debt that she owes, so she needs to figure out how to pay that back. And then the other side of it is, a little bit of creative freedom.
I imagine then, if specifically if Betty is looking for making money, trying to pick up. This is why she picks up so many odd jobs around the town anyway. You have let's say a piece of art or a call sign or what have you that represents you. One that you obviously try to spread and make sure people are aware of. That let people know that if they see that, you are in the area for as long as that marker is there, looking for job information gathering, moving, stuff Ravenos are pretty good at doing, spying, even assassinating if some choose. But I also imagine, because you're a Ravnos and you're on the move, and of course you owe people, you're not leaving your marker in the same place every single time. You probably move your marker from neighborhood to neighborhood over the course of time. So you are probably only hitting up, we'll say for now, 2 or 3 different neighborhoods at any given time. And you would rotate through them. Now, those neighborhoods belong to different clans within the Camarilla, along with the giant Anarch section. So how about you tell me what clans you'd like to leave your call sign at, and take a look at the map. Obviously, Venture are the wealthiest, but they come with the most strings attached. Anarchs could be very hit and miss.
I think because of the situation that we're in right now and the information she's trying to get, Venture is going to make the most sense.
Okay. Venture is going to get a call sign in it then. Let's say one other neighborhood for right now. Where else would you leave to like a marker? I imagine Boston's not that big actually, so you could leave it pretty much anywhere, and it's all within distance of a single night's travel. I would say, it depends on the kind of job you're looking for, I guess. The kind of job Betty likes to take. She seems to me like an information gatherer, an information mover, maybe even a product mover occasionally. Does that sound appropriate for Betty? What do you think Betty likes to do?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Then for right now, it would make the most sense, I think, for Betty to leave in La Sombra territory.
Okay.
One, La Sombra are relatively new to the Camarilla still. There are in Boston, you would have had whispers of something went down in Chicago with La Sombra, leading them to having an establishment here in Boston. La Sombra are also like the more moody Ventrue in a lot of ways. There's a lot of money that moves through them. And because they're new and because they're kind of not trusted, there's more opportunity for less accountability when it comes to your jobs. You know, if you fuck up a Ventrue job, you could have the Camarilla down your back depending on which Ventrue you fuck it up. You fuck up a Camarilla job, I mean, a Lasombra job, it's less of going to be a problem with the Camarilla and more just going to be a problem with the Lasombra you're dealing with. So we'll say you leave both of those there. And my last question to you, Betty, as we kind of build out how you operate, how long do you leave a marker in a territory before Betty would want to shift it and move it elsewhere? Secondly,
I think it's twofold. One is depends on what her current situation is, and then the secondary is like if there's certain information she's trying to gather from a place, she might stay longer or less.
Okay. So we'll just say at minimum a week. You probably at least give it a week for the most part. I'm looking at your list of symbols.
Those are not graffiti. Those are like messages that are left on.
What is Betty's personal call sign? What does she spray paint that people can look at and know that means Betty is around and looking for work?
Ooh, I know what it is. It's a shopping cart.
I love it. I love it. Yep. Just a shopping cart sprayed on. It's easily also easily destroyed or changed into other art. I love that. Do you? I know it's like, are you like talking just like black spray paint or like silver spray paint, or do you spray paint like a colorful cart?
I think it depends. For this one, I think what she does is, if I can take a little moment, she goes into her cart and she's like shuffling in it for a little bit, and she pulls out that jar that she pulled out of the dumpster, and she sets it on the ground, and she starts with creating that jar. It looks like almost like a 3D image of a jar on this wall. And then on the jar is just like a little shopping cart, like label on it. And I think like that's how she does it. She like hides the shopping cart in the imagery that she's creating.
So only people who know what they're looking for can find what they're looking for. Those who know Betty operate are know to look for Betty. I love that. Okay. Now I have it's like it's such a like if I love that it's it makes sense. Oh, Betty. I love this character. So you kind of separate and spread out. Is there a type of job that Betty prefers or she's known to be the best at doing? I leave that in your hands because you know Betty better than I do.
I think she's the best at probably listening into conversations that maybe most people can't listen in on, because people are not expecting some homeless person on the side of the street to be like doing anything, right? Like, and I think that's kind of like the best situation she can be in, is where she's like a listener, an info grabber, getting into places where people might not like think would think that is weird. She's also really good at breaking into places. So if there's something that needs to be like, get into, take something, that kind of thing would be another thing that she's good at.
I mean, a lot of ways Betty fits.
And she can traverse. So if something needs to get delivered from one place to another, she's pretty good at that too.
Yeah. And again, Betty is that perfect for those things because she's older, at least out, physically outside. She's an older woman as well. So she is quite easily looked over when it comes to people who hang around or might be listening. And even if she was around, most people are disarmed by a little old lady, just kind of being nearby and just hanging around. And you've learned over very quickly that people are willing to say the wildest shit around you because they just do not see you as any sort of threat. So it makes sense. Spy, breaking in, robbery, information brokering, and the like. And as I'm looking through like your advantages and the like, I mean, it makes sense too. You have 3 dots in status for city secrets. People know what you're good at, and you're quite good at it, but it also comes with the reputation of almost like I would describe it almost as like a lower level, like a much lower level harpy. You know secrets like harpies do. You may not know the secrets of the elite and those in power, but you know the dirty secrets, the secrets that can move streets and over the course of nights if need be. You might not be able to start a Camarilla revolt, but with the right pressure and the right knowledge, you could cause a territory to maybe go and revolt, like a block of some smaller kindred's domain. You are dangerous. Betty has become dangerous over this time, and so I would say your jobs come at a relative, not super high cost, but a decent cost. When people approach you, and I'm sorry for asking you so many questions, but I'm trying to really set this up in my head.
And we're also like still new. We're only in our
exactly.
early episode.
What do you think Betty is like? What does she ask for payment? If somebody comes to her to offer her a job, obviously cash is probably something she wants, needs, always needs. I mean, cash still makes the world move, even if you're a kindred. But you may not give a shit about cash. Sorry. So what does
I think cash is sometimes, I mean, obviously cash is useful, but I think the thing that is most useful for Betty is information. So that's going to be the big thing that she's always looking for. And then the additional side of that is safety or the return of something like a favor in the future.
Yeah, boon. Yeah, like a boon of some level. Yeah, that makes. Yeah, I mean that's even more valuable to currency to kindred in certain circles, especially those of influence like Ventru and Lasombra and the like. Okay, I have a very good idea as to how Betty now operates on the streets and her value, which I makes sense to me. I'm sorry,
but working with her is fun. At least that's how she sees it.
I'm sure some people are really frustrated by Betty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, she sees it as fun, but
she enjoys it. But she's good at her job enough that people endure the annoyance, because as like chatty and fun as you may be, you still always keep to privacy and adhere to the job and remain loyal to the gig itself. After marking territories, it would take a couple nights before you maybe even hear anybody. Would Betty head to Janet's at any point, knowing that you left David there, or would she stick on her own until she's reached out to by any of them? Would you go back to where Marcus is and see if he was still if it's still empty? There's options for Betty. I'm just curious where she goes.
I think by default, Betty would not unless reached out to, but I think Janet, tell me if you feel otherwise. Dot from your perspective. Would Janet?
She gives you.
Well, I feel like Janet and Betty have like a different history than everyone else.
Exactly.
They do.
So you two
she expects if you show up, there is, at least right now in their relationship. Usually, when you show up, it means you're delivering information,
or a job or something like that. That's what I was thinking.
But it doesn't mean that like you can't drop by. She's just not used to you just swinging in. Like, she's never told you can't swing by. That's the deal. You're allowed to be on the block. You know what I mean? And I think she'd probably rather you be in her place than out, like, causing trouble on her, like, in her neighborhood. You know what I mean? But, like, so, like, she's never said no, but there's, I guess, Betty never has.
Yeah. So I think that from Betty's perspective, that she would not, unless reached out to, it would be probably the situation. I just wanted to feel a vibe of like,
yeah, totally,
you're feeling the same way.
Yeah,
but obviously David does put a different, cog in the wrench.
Right.
But I feel like he's in good hands with Janet. I can trust that. Other than Janet might, stray him into like a weird path that Betty doesn't necessarily agree with. But David's his own person. He can make decisions.
Talk about I'm just giving him information. He can do what he wants with it.
He just is soaking in existence at the moment, trying to figure out how it works, honestly. And that makes sense. I don't want Betty to go to Janice if she's, not where she would end up going. She'd spend her night doing what Betty typically does, which is wander, look for work, feed, fuck around with people if she gets bored, because that feels like a very Betty thing to do.
100%. She's a con artist. I think like that is like the best way to depict her. So if there's con artistry things, that is what she'd be doing.
Manipulation streetwise check. Listen, I'm sure you try to make money on the streets through the night anyway, regardless.
I have con artist as as a special skill under subterfuge.
Yeah, add a 1d10.
Okay. And that would be with manipulation.
Manipulation. I know it's technically under subterfuge, but actually no, do subterfuge streetwise. Sorry.
Okay. And
that makes more sense, especially if that's what the specialty is.
Get an extra dot in that you're saying.
Yeah, that's what specialty gives you an extra 1d10. I mean, 3 successes
Man,
is
these
quite
dice
good.
rolls are interesting today. 3.
You want to spend a willpower and reroll 3?
Yeah, why not? For fun.
Yeah, fuck it. Make money.
Easy.
4 successes. You're, I'd say you'd still be able to pull like probably made a little over $100 over the course of a night of just like hustling people and conning people of like the little old lady act and all that good stuff. It eats your night up for the most part. Now, Betty, I know you do. How long can you stay in a place one place? A week? Or
I think it's just one night.
Is it just one night? Your
I have to keep moving. I can't sleep in the same spot.
Yeah, you just kind of, so you're shuffling around. But shit, there was something I was going to say and I can't remember the name of the person. Oh no.
Mutt. Barnacle.
Yes. Yeah, no, Mutt. That's what I'm looking for. So as we'll say, as we see Betty placing her tag and we see her shuffling off, and as the night goes, we see little glimpses of her kind of doing her shtick, pickpocketing people without them realizing it, and she's kind of counting up her money for the night before shoving it into her shopping cart. Where would you sleep? Would you be sleeping near your markers in Ventrue or La Sombra territory, or would Betty sleep in a different territory?
I think this time around, where is your place again, Janet?
It's in Ventrue territory.
So way north, near Charleston.
Okay.
Actually, in the border of Charleston, right? Because that's where.
Yeah, it's whatever the nicest neighborhood in Ventrue territory is. She basically has her little block.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I'm going to like the southwest side of the Ventrue territory.
Okay. Well, as Betty, you're kind of walking around. I imagine before you head back, you do your nightly sweep by both of your tags to see if anything's there. And as you are walking by the one in Ventrue territory first, because you're probably up there first, or maybe you're going to a little Sombra territory. Where'd you go first? Let me ask you.
Probably La Sombra first, because I'm going to stay in the Ventrue space at like that night. That was my plan to start.
As you're making your way over to
that morning, I guess.
Yeah, quote unquote morning for Kindred. As you're making your way over just to check the symbol you place in the La Sombra territory, before you even are less than a block away, maybe you're 2 or 3 blocks away and you can see straight down the street, you see a troubling sight. 2 cop cars pulled over to the side with officers standing around something near your marker. Before you continue, do you keep just kind of approaching as normal?
I will be a little bit more stealthy as I'm approaching.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a dexterity stealth check.
5.
Oh, damn. Beautiful. So, yeah, you critted as well. So, as you're making way over, is Betty just like kind of hanging out near, like in some alleyways, just approaching in like a weird, unorthodox way?
Yeah. I think it's kind of just like, well, maybe more so trying to blend in might be
just trying
the thing.
to get just to get close without being noticed.
Yeah.
Probably on the other side of the street. The thing is, it's not super late. It's pretty late, but with police cars around in a relatively quiet neighborhood, it brings stragglers out. People are curious. And as you make your way over there, can you make me a wits awareness as you get closer?
Wits awareness. 3.
You don't have to get super close. You're actually just even a bit distance away. As you get closer, you actually see there are crime scene tape being pulled and cornered off near the alleyway where your symbol is. And as you continue to move your cart, walking as though you're not really paying attention, just kind of shuffling through. As you look to your left and you look across the street where it is, you see a body sat on its butt, leaning up against the wall, its head tilted to the side. And as you, with 3 successes in your wits awareness, it takes you a minute, and as you gaze, but you recognize the body of that of Mutt. Moreover, he's leaning up very close to your call sign. blood is against the wall. It doesn't look like it was a physically violent death, in terms of like there wasn't like a melee, it wasn't like a melee brawl, but there is blood spatter from here, and your best guess would be a gunshot wound, probably.
Mm.
But this is just from a distance. Betty, would you continue walking on? The cops are there. There's like you see 3 of them.
Interesting.
Crime scene tape is pulled already across the alleyway.
I'm wondering if, from where I am, if I use Seen the Unseen, could I still be able to see something, or?
Yeah, Sense the Unseen is a free power. It's not gonna, it'll help. Yes, you're not far enough away where it wouldn't affect it.
Yeah,
You're welcome to
I
use
think
it.
that's the first thing that Betty would do. And I think under her breath, she just kind of says,
"Oh, no, you're not supposed to be part of this punchline."
Are you looking to detect another kindred or something supernatural?
I think kindred in this case.
Give me a wits aspects, please.
Wits aspects. And the extra dice roll I got was for.
That was just for your con artist stuff.
Aspects. That was +1 to aspects.
Yeah.
No,
oh, yeah. No, yeah. Correct. Yep.
For the
blood, the resonance within the blood.
Mm-hmm.
3. With 3 successes. You do not see or sense any other kindred invisibly hiding nearby. If this was a message to get your attention to converse, they didn't linger.
Oh, and there's police over there, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the struggle at the moment for you, is that there are cops there. On your
does
own.
it look like my tag has been messed with? Like there's additional.
Looking at it, no, it doesn't look like anybody like purposely went up and like added spray paint or defaced your tag at all. It just, the body is near it. For the cops, at least your assumption is the cops would not recognize your symbol. You have no reason. I'm assuming you don't really have a criminal record other than maybe getting arrested for a few like drug crimes before kindred times. But
no, and I also have another thing in my background that's a little interesting too.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying like these cops would not. This is not something they'd be like, oh, this means Betty. Like the cops wouldn't necessarily like know what that is.
Does it look like the cops are actually investigating, or are they just standing around?
It looks like they're setting up. Like this seems like it's relatively like the cops are somewhat new to the scene. So the tape is finished being putting up. You can see somebody's like on the radio with somebody else. Likely more are going to arrive, not less. You don't have connections to the cops. You have connections more to like the street, like street level people of like the homeless community and that such. Does Janet have connection to the police?
Nobody's asked. I don't have a bot in contact. How about that? If that's what you're asking, I don't have a bot in contact. It doesn't mean she can't pull strings to get there, right?
Yeah. The mafia.
It's just that she does not have a direct contact to the police.
I would say Janet would be able to contact the cops, but it would come at a cost for her, like a monetary. She can't just call in a favor. She needs to make an active bribe on behalf of her family.
Right, to another mafia that does own the cops. Like it would be, she could do it, but again, it's a pulling strings.
Yeah, it's a pulling the strings thing of, but that's your own, like you don't have an in that regard, Betty, but she can have an in. But basically, because she doesn't have a merit, it's going to cost her resources.
It would be like dirty cops, basically. I'd have to pay dirty cops.
Yep, bingo. And obviously Betty would know this because she's worked with Janet before. Maybe there's a time where Janet occasionally has had to pay a couple cops to get the fucking smell off of an investigative murder.
Yeah, like, I don't know, the disappearance of her husband and fudging of police reports, but like, it's not something she does regularly because honestly, she doesn't deal with the criminal side of the mafia.
And maybe as Betty's thinking about those she's close with, definitely not Leon. Leon is the opposite of the cops, but he has connections in the dark web that you could never have. And Elspeth, God no, she's too new. she's too young and naive in this whole world. Like, she knows her sire, and she knows those she's with, and you just met her, and that's about all you know about her. And
My
David,
next-
God knows. Maybe actually, who knows? David might know cop. He doesn't know if he knows a cop.
My next thing is, are there any signs of kindred influence that I can see, like from where I'm at? Does it look like there's a cover up or something of that sort? Or
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You
Yeah.
can make me a wits investigation roll.
Ooh, all right. Not my forte. One success though.
You could re-roll 1 dice.
Why not? Let's do it. It's for Mutt. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. And you rolled a success as well.
Yeah.
I would say as you're looking across, there doesn't seem to be anything there that indicates. You said like a cover up is what you're looking for in particular, like
Yeah.
passing it off as like just a random shooting if it's not a random shooting kind of thing. Then yeah, I would say as you look, I would say how would I word this? I think Betty would assume that this is a message for Betty yourself, because of the individual who's dead and where the body is. But if you're thinking about the police in particular, like involved in the cover up, you would have to stick around for a lot longer. But you would know really the two most influential clans on the police themselves, the police force, are the Ventru. Obviously, they are wildly influential on the cops, but also, and most people wouldn't think about this, the Nosferatu are wildly influential on the police on a much quieter way. So if there is a cover up that are going to be operating through the police, somebody on those two sides would be the ones you would want to go to. But if you linger, you really wouldn't know if anything about this is a cover up or like really fudged with, unless you really watch this whole thing and then was somehow able to get a hold of the paperwork being done. It would be hard because I think this would just be treated like any other murder case in the open right now, because there's nothing to indicate beyond what you know about what the body is and anything to the general public or even just the beat level cops that are here, that this is anything other than just a random violent shooting in the middle of the streets in the world of darkness, where that happens more often than in our world, which is maybe it's the same now. I don't know.
Okay. I think the next thing she's going to do is sense the unseen, but this time for spirits. And the thing that she's looking for is the lingering spirit of Mutt's corpse.
Trying to feel if like there's some sort of presence around.
Like if he has any clinging, like if he's there, if there's, she's basically like whispering to him through the veil. And I think what she says under her breath as she's doing this, that she's like,
"Come on, you greasy bastard. You owe me at least one more story."
Give me a resolve aspects, please.
Ooh, all right. Why is my heart pumping so bad?
Come
3
on,
successes.
buddy.
There is a feel of righteous vengeance that seems to just ripple through you in a way, Betty, you never really feel. While you don't sense like a physical location of the spirit where he may be, there's more of a residual emotion that does not belong to you, that seems to kind of just rush through you when you're like, come on, Greasy, you still have one more story left in you. And you feel angry vengeance. You know it's him. You just have a gut feeling that it's him. Saying you know it's him is wrong. You have a very gut feeling that is.
Okay. When I feel that, I think, yeah, when I feel that, I think Betty just says,
"All right. I think that's you. What is it?"
And she just kind of like looks around and she's just peering to try to see if like something moves, something shifts, something like she sees something that she wouldn't normally.
As you watch and you're just waiting, maybe there's something that moves, or maybe there's like a vision or something in reality fractures. You're simply left with the echoing feeling of vengeance. Nothing seems to splinter out of the ordinary. The emotions don't rush in a second time. As Betty kind of takes this in, it could mean many a thing.
Does it feel like the vengeance is towards me?
No, it's more at the situation, at his own death. vengeance of like he can't achieve it, but you saying, "Come on, Greasy, like you got one more story in you." There's almost like through you, he wants vengeance on his death. That's I think the interpretation he would be trying to get through. And he's
I think if that's the feeling she gets, she says
Elspeth would be, Elspeth one is also can speak with the dead. Well, she says she can.
I think she just says, "Oh, don't worry, Mutt. I'll give him something to be afraid of." And I actually think Betty is going to lean her shopping cart up against the side of like the other side of the street and just kind of like sit there and watch this like it's like a show, like a popcorn show unless like the police tell her to leave or move or do anything. She's going to watch and just soak in every little detail, like what's going on around.
You have the ability to make it look like you're not there. You have illusions. You can just be like, and they just see in a wall, and that's it. It's what things illusion is can be if you like can be obfuscate. It can be these other things, but as the camera slowly pulls back and time seems to get faster and faster, rapidly moving police, more cars show up, people move, stop, rubbernecking, but Betty is always in the same spot. As we get further into the sky, as you get smaller, and as we reach what would be the pinnacle of the apex of our height, we cut to black, and we'll be back next week with another episode right here on twitch.tv/podbynight. Thank you guys so much for playing. Thank you so much for hanging out. More to come, I guess. Is there anything else to announce before we bounce?
Killing people already.
You're muted.
I don't think so. I think we're trucking along. I know we're still catching up on a few things, but we are finally catching up. So check the Patreon. A bunch of stuff has gone out after shows and those kind of things. Yeah. We're hanging in there. We hope you all are too, and we are here next week. So we'll be back.
We'll be here.
There was one thing. It was brought up in the Discord. It seems like a lot of people are questioning not necessarily the intent of the story, but they aren't seeing the massive like overhaul of everything that we accomplished in SOS and how we're not so politically entrenched yet. And I think it's worth noting. I know Mathis said on this in the Discord. Yeah, but it's been brought back down to a neonate level. We're looking at things from sort of the bottom of the barrel, and no doubt it's gonna get hot. It's gonna get heavy, but we got to start small before we start taking on the entire Camarilla structure.
Yeah,
so,
sorry,
just bear with us.
It's not even it's just a fun conversation too, because when we first played, it's an energy we'll never have again. You were as new as your characters.
Yeah, as you could be. Yeah.
In order to give you an understanding of how the world worked, I needed to thrust you into the architecture of the government and have you understand. So you had to see all these bigger names and understand the weight they carried. I mean,
also it was different because we had
consequences to see how well that ended working out.
Yeah.
But
and you also had with like Saito and Cammy, you had like these people who were like they were in touch with people that were much like more involved in that right from the get-go. Yeah. Where we are like newbies, we don't have any of those connections that are with like those ties.
That being said, though, I think
doesn't thrust us into it as quickly.
There's a new thing here, which is kind of exciting, and I'm already seeing it happening at the table, which is that because we're well versed in VTM now, the design of these characters from the beginning is a little bit richer, than it was in like so much of SOS was like we figured it out along the way and we wrote it as we went.
You had a shell of an archetype, and you just fucking
and we just kind of
we like put like this little storylines. We know how each of us are connected. We know who knows what secrets about which characters, and like you guys haven't learned this yet.
And there's so much rich background that just wasn't there when SOS started that I think has set a stronger foundation for what could become a really politically intriguing show. So stick with this.
If people are Patreon supporters, they have access to some of our background stories and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, I technically haven't shared any background stories, but if it's on your character sheet, it has been shared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've got to get Janet's. David.
Chicago didn't exist.
Everyone has written some crazy background stories, so there's a lot of stuff.
I mean, you've gotten some of Janet's, but I think everybody's got their secrets, and even David, who doesn't know anything, is still learning it as he goes. Like He clearly has some juicy stuff going on.
Normally you get this stuff in the after show, so
Yeah, it's just a different energy, and I love it, honestly. Like, it's a different world. It's also not a Camarillo that was collapsing like it was in Chicago when we first started, where there was no Prince and it was just chaos.
Yeah.
Also, just the interactions between these characters are so different than it's kind of cool seeing like the different.
I can't watch the first 5 episodes of SOS. I can't do it. I hate it. I know it's like people like it's good in its own way, but like
it definitely is a
you
vibe.
watch those first 5 episodes, man.
Good on you.
Yeah, like Jesus.
Good
they have some endurance for sure.
Yeah. Learning
pains.
curve. All right, y'all. We're gonna go. Speaking of after show, record one, and we will see you all next week. I think Josh is joining us next week, but please don't hold me to that if he doesn't. If he's not here.
We'll figure it out.
We'll see you all next week for more. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
everybody.